open?
You can.
All right.
And you're live.
And we back. And we back. And we I don't know why. I just feel like every single time I'm back in the studio, I think, and we back. What's up, everyone? It's Mack and Black.
Hey, I was just legit just seeing a face of Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction.
Oh, did you?
When he was in that house before he shot dude. And was
that's right. Oh, yeah.
When he goes, he's like, "Hey, you flock of seagulls, you know why we're here? Why don't you tell me where the package is?" He's like, "I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing."
That's
that I swear
that's my
to
attitude
God,
going
that
into
is
2020.
That
man.
is okay. Hey.
That's my attitude going into 2020.
I'd be like, "Hey, yo, Matt, aren't we supposed to do this? Some outsider come in. I don't remember asking you.
No, that's
Damn.
my mood all 2020. Yo, guys, last show of 2019.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty crazy when you said that. You reminded you. I mean, you pointed it out, and that's pretty crazy to think about, man.
That's right. In 5 days. I can't hear myself. In 5 days.
I can't really hear that well either, man.
In 5 days.
There you go.
In 5 days, it's going to be flipping
2020, man. Damn. Time just, here's the thing about this year. I think this year was one of those where it's just like, doesn't it feel like more than ever, just everybody's got shit going on? Like, it's just kind of like.
Everybody and their mama's busy.
It's just like, I'm busy. Whether it's like it's everyone's busy. And they're like, I didn't notice this year just flew by because I've been just doing too much.
Yeah, facts. And then on top of that, like, everybody now is in school.
Right.
And, it's like every time you talk, there's talk about, I have these classes.
Right,
and I'm
right.
always in class. And I'm like, hey, are we going to the gym? I got to go to class. And then, oh, my God, it's just same nonsense. So then before you know it, like, okay, I don't even know. This is how I only care about Gemini season because I'm a Gemini myself.
Yeah.
Before you blink, it's going to be Gemini season. And I feel like Gemini is the most hated zodiac sign out there because we can be very bipolar. So then when the air is a little thick and then all the blessings start to flow, I'll be like, oh, snap, it must be Gemini season in this bitch. Hands down. So, hey, man, look, all I'm saying is it's been a wonderful 2019 as far as this show is concerned.
Yes, sir.
And we can only go up from here. So, I mean, it's been blessings to an extent. I mean, think about it like this. Mike Miller, the interim head coach of the New York Knicks, has won as many games and far less games as a coach than David Fizdale did. Okay? So, while everyone's sitting here making me look like a complete dumbass, when I was sitting there thinking like, I know the Knicks suck, but we shouldn't suck like this. Maybe it's because David Fizdale, I don't know, is just not that good of a head coach.
Yeah,
you just have to accept the fact.
Let's be honest about that whole Memphis thing. I always did think like maybe he got a raw deal, but did he? I mean, did he really get a raw deal in Memphis? Like, I feel like, he was, remember, he was the guy that was under Spoelstra in Miami when the Heat were the it thing.
Yep.
And he was like, apparently the guy that was running things, as far as schematically for Spoelstra. But, I mean, we now know LeBron runs those teams, like, pretty much. So and even to a certain extent, I don't think you talked about it last week, we don't give enough credit to, like, Eric Spoelstra. That's a guy who we thought was like, yeah, he's just a guy in the background. But now we're seeing what the Heat are. So we're going to definitely talk about them later because I definitely want to talk about the week in the NBA. We'll talk a little bit about our respective teams, the Knicks and the Bulls. And then we'll also get into, obviously, MLB baseball. We were talking about before the mics got turned on that I think both of us are probably as excited for the season as we've ever been.
Goddamn right.
And so we'll talk about how far we are to spring training and pitchers and catchers reporting and everything like that. And we'll get into the week in free agency and trade activity as well. There wasn't a ton going on, but the White Sox did make a move or two since we live revealed last week Dallas Keuchel signing with the White Sox, which was it was like a weight lifted for White Sox fans.
I think so too.
It wasn't even like we got the best free agent ever, right?
Right.
It wasn't even like we got a top 10 pitcher. It wasn't that. It was. I think everyone who was super excited, including me, because I was really fucking excited. I think it was more so like, man, all right, we got a guy, and I like Keuchel. Do I think that he's gonna last the 3 or 4 years that the White Sox are hoping he'll last? We'll see. In this day and age, who really cares? As long as next year he gives you a good shot to win it, so you don't really mind.
And it's not like no one's asking this man to come out and be flipping
a number one.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
or the Cy Young that he was years ago. Nah, just come out there and get you quality innings. And I think it also helps that you also have Don Cooper as your pitching coach.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and, he's probably one of, if not the most respected pitching coach in all of baseball.
Yeah.
So
I didn't realize how many connections Keuchel had to the White Sox. I think he went to college with McCann, the catcher, and then we talked about Grandal and him basically going out of his way to almost recommend Dallas Keuchel. I don't know how they know each other. I know they didn't play with each other, but yeah. So we'll talk about the MLB hot stove as it is, and we'll talk about the NFL wrapping up. The season is wrapping up this week. We'll talk about the playoff picture and what to get into there. But what we're doing live right now, so we're at halftime here, but throughout the show you'll see we'll be checking in on.
You ain't missing much.
Yeah, I was gonna say we might not be looking at it much, and we might. Depending on how things go, I may just put the Bulls game on, but it's still a little early, 5:30 here. But yeah, so we're witnessing a slaughter here with LSU and Oklahoma. LSU, I don't even know what the score is, but it's out of hand, and I think
49-14.
Yeah,
LSU.
Oklahoma looks like they're done here, and then we'll preview a little bit of the late game, which is Clemson and OSU. But obviously, that to me was always the interesting game. I think this game, to me, I never really saw Oklahoma as this giant threat.
Right.
Even through the Baker Mayfield days, you could see there was a lot of system. You could see that there was a lot within that system, right? We're seeing it now where, again, I like Kyler Murray. I like Baker Mayfield, right? But the success that they had in college.
And throw Sam Bradford's name in
yeah,
there too.
Absolutely, for sure. But I think I just think just for even more in the short term, right? Just to say the last two quarterbacks that they've had, Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield, these are guys who killed it in college, were Heisman Trophy winners. Come into the league, and Kyler, don't get me wrong, this guy's still got potential, and he's a great scrambling quarterback. I like how he's resourceful on his feet, but is he really worth what we thought he was at this point?
Right.
I don't know, man. Was the guy the number one pick for was he the clear and away number one guy this year?
Right.
I don't think so.
No.
I think you can make cases that now, obviously, hindsight is always 20/20, right? But even Baker, to a certain extent, we're seeing okay, what happens when the system isn't kind to Baker? Mm-hmm. Well, Baker doesn't do too well when the system isn't kind to Baker.
Right.
So, I never really saw Oklahoma as a giant threat. I thought he transferred to Oklahoma on purpose, right? Because he knows the history that Oklahoma has with taking on quarterbacks, transfer guys, stuff like that. And he realized this would be an easy transition for me to at least, get my name back into the conversation. But 49-14 here, this will be over very soon.
Phil asked, should LSU pull Joe Burrow for
I was literally about to ask that. I don't know.
I mean, he's out there warming up
now. And
I think it's one of those, well, let's blow him out. Let's get to 63. If it's 63-14, then we'll go ahead and send him.
Let's just put it this way. In 2 touchdowns, it's a 28-point game.
Yep.
So anything can happen when it's 28 points and there's 2 quarters left. So you never know. But, yeah, and I think what Joe Burrow is doing now is showing, this isn't hype, right? This is – we know what we're doing here.
I won the Heisman for a reason.
Yeah.
This is why.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're banged up. LSU is, I think. Their backfield, and they've got some skill guys that are banged up. So
their offensive coordinator, I just read his daughter-in-law died in a plane crash or some kind of car crash.
Terrible,
so yeah, they definitely had some things going on with LSU, but they're out here smoking Oklahoma. But a friend of mine brought up a valid question, and we'll ask about it, because he was saying that when we talk about the college football playoff and Notre Dame's name always seems to come up, the word that always comes with Notre Dame when it comes to the football playoff is overrated. That everyone's like, oh, this is what happens when you don't play in a division, and this is what happens when, you're Notre Dame and you got this cupcake schedule. Well, is it time to start putting Oklahoma in this same overrated category as well? Because how long has it been since they won their last national championship? Like, it's been a little bit.
The Bob Stoops days.
The Bob Stoops days.
Yeah.
The last few years that you've been in it, you've got your asses whipped by whoever, mainly of the SEC variety. And here we are today for Jalen Hurts, who played in the SEC, which you and I brought up off air. This is the same Jalen Hurts who got pulled for Tua in that title game against Georgia, which started the legacy of Tua and the downfall of Jalen Hurts, which made him transfer in the first damn place.
Right.
So my thing is that I kind of agree with maybe it's time to put Oklahoma in that category. I think the reason why Notre Dame catches so much hell is that they still remain to be independent.
Right.
Like, you play with every other conference, like every other your sports is represented in the ACC.
Yeah.
But for some reason, all of a sudden, you just want to be independent for football to make your own schedule. So you beat the brakes off of Michigan State, who sucks.
Yeah.
You beat the brakes off of Michigan, who technically aren't as good.
Yeah.
I won't say Michigan sucks. They're just not as good.
They're not on top of the tier.
USC is not where they used to be. And you're still playing these same guys who aren't good, and you don't switch up the game.
And it's all about money too.
Especially when it comes to Notre Dame.
That's the worst part about Notre Dame is people think that this is about the sanctity of college football, and we can't fall prey to the divisions because those divisions take all the power. That's not really what it's about.
Right.
Like, Notre Dame just wants to be able to control how much money they can make every single year, right?
Yep.
And that's just that's, again, dude, one of the really crazy things about what we're seeing in the NCAA in football and in basketball is that we can see these blatant signs of, like, this isn't right in both NCAA football and in basketball, and we know it's because of money, and we know it's because of greed, and we know it's because people are going out of their way to essentially fuck and screw these kids and under the guise of scholarships, and really all they're doing is just thinking of them as cash cows.
Right.
And we're seeing, dude, I'll be honest with you. I recently bought the 2K20.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna buy it this year because I was like, honestly, I'm getting into FIFA. I'm also getting into the NFL stuff, the Madden stuff.
Right.
So, I don't really, and I don't play much anyways. I play probably like 2 hours on the weekend. So, like, when I do get it in, I want to get it in with something good. And I figured last week, why not? I bought the 2K20, and I was slightly impressed. I don't think the game, we already know what these sports games are like. They're just updated rosters and updated menus, right? And videos. Other than that, they're the same game. But what I thought was cool was the new My Career. It takes you in the life of, like, an NCAA athlete trying to go into the NBA.
Right.
And the storyline is kind of cheesy and, pretty, it's cookie cutter as far as that's concerned. I know LeBron, Mav Carter, Anthony Davis, and a lot of these guys had to do with this whole thing. But I was impressed with it because the NBA is basically showing to the world the NCAA is crooked. Yeah. They suck. Hey, do something about it.
And not to go off of subject, but look what James Wiseman just did in Memphis.
Right, absolutely.
He said, you know what? I'm done with this nonsense. I'm going to pull out. I'm going to hire an agent. Yeah. I'm already know I'm a top 5 pick. Screw this. And that hurts the NCAA.
Yeah,
why?
Absolutely.
Because you guys are such dumbasses.
One of the best players in the country.
If not the best player in the country, according to some people.
Yeah.
And now here's Anthony Hardaway, who, in fairness, did nothing wrong as far as I'm concerned.
And he is a legit family friend of Weissman's too, which is pretty crazy.
Right.
Like I did not know this, but I read an article. There are actual connections to Hardaway Circle and Weissman's Circle.
Yeah.
So this isn't just like, hey, this isn't Rick Pitino, showing up at somebody's door, one day and saying, hey, we're family now. Like, no. Weissman and Hardaway had a legit relationship. Yeah, it's crazy, man. And actually good for Weissman, right? Go. You're a 7-footer. You have nothing left to prove. Just go get ready. And that's what he's doing now and getting ready to collect that bag now.
I'm still on the fence if I want the Knicks to draft Wiseman or if I want the Knicks to draft LaMelo Ball. I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
First off, again, I know I'm kind of all over the place right now because it just popped in my head. I don't know why I'm such a huge fan of Lonzo Ball.
Right.
And the Balls, well, with the exception of LiAngelo.
Yeah.
I think LaMelo Ball could end up being a better player than Lonzo.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Because LaMelo's offensive game just takes a big dump on Lonzo. Now, I think defensively it's the other way around. I think Lonzo defensively is great.
Right.
And I think LaMelo is good, but he's not as good as Lonzo.
I think he can improve his defense more than Lonzo can improve his offense.
Right, right. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But I don't know why. I mean, the Knicks kind of need a point guard right now.
Yeah.
And Dennis Smith Jr., supposedly there's this article that went out saying that some Knicks have secretly said they want to get traded, and Dennis Smith Jr. was one of them. I'd trade you for a pair of Jordan sneakers. You suck.
And
you're not that good.
And it's like this is a guy that he's banking on the fact that he's going to get paid in the offseason. What have you done?
Right.
What have you done that you're going to get paid?
Besides underachieve.
Yeah, and you've gotten traded. First of all, you got traded in your second year in the league, basically.
Yeah.
Dude, you're not somebody. And remember, again, we talked. I say this again and again, and I love reminding LeBron nut huggers that LeBron, he's gonna have a front office role one day, but he's not there yet. Because you remember when he was talking about Dennis Smith, and he was like, I don't know what the Knicks were looking at with Ntilikina because they should have drafted Dennis Smith, and it was like. Neither of them really turned out to be anything to look at, right? Ntilikina, I will give Ntilikina this. He's going to be a really good defensive player for somebody someday. I just think right now he just has to – it's hard to play point guard in the league. I was trying to explain this to somebody who's complaining about Kobe White. He was talking about Kobe White sucks. We should have drafted this guy. We should have drafted that guy. And I'm thinking, well, okay, first of all, he's 19 years old, right? So right off the bat, it's like, dude, you're expecting a 19-year-old to come into the league and be amazing right away.
Right.
That just doesn't happen. But then also point guards. We talked about this, I think, last week. It's typically hard for one-and-done point guards to come into the league right away and just have this transition. De'Aaron Fox and some other guys that we've seen that have come into the league. And
don't get me started on De'Aaron Fox.
Oh, yeah, sorry. My fantasy basketball season is over at this point.
Dude, I'm so pissed. So I haven't been playing with Fox or Marvin Bagley for every bit. Bagley just came back not too long ago. Now he might be out with a foot injury. So when Luka Doncic was hot, I'm missing those two guys.
Right.
When they come back, he got hurt.
Right.
I can't win.
Yeah. Yeah, and basketball's brutal with it, and every single day I get the notification from Yahoo, and it's just another guy like, oh, you're a game time decision now. Oh, you're out now. Oh my God, you're not gonna.
Worst.
And the worst part
is, now LeBron might be out. For
I was gonna say, and I know LeBron's
injury.
gonna, and you know why? Because he wants to play on Christmas. I listen, I respect the Christmas games. I think it's cool. I love that. Trust me, dude. I'm one of those, first of all, I don't necessarily celebrate Christmas, but I do love Christmas. And one of my favorite parts about Christmas is when I was a kid, having the day off and watching basketball all day.
Right.
That's like a really cool, fun thing. I remember just watching basketball from 11 a.m. until bedtime, and that was really cool. But like LeBron and AD forcing themselves to play on Wednesday, and then now you hearing that maybe LeBron's now going to miss another 2 weeks possibly because of it. And by the way, AD's been playing all season hurt. And apparently he's trying to prove to Rich Paul and to the Lakers that basically a lot of the issues that New Orleans, he was missing time from New Orleans was because they weren't treating his injuries correctly.
Right.
And now they are treating his injuries correctly, and they're doing the proper precautions, post game stuff. He's saying now, I'm proving to you guys that I'm not injury prone, because let's remember, he's still a free agent after this year.
Yes.
I know it's inconvenient to talk about because everyone thinks there's a handshake deal, but we've talked about this before. Handshake deals are only handshake deals until the ink is on the paper and you can really hear. So,
Exactly.
And we don't know what's going to happen this season. As good as the Lakers have been, I think they've lost 4 in a row now.
Some close
to that with their loss to the Clippers, which was an awesome game, by the way. The problem with that game was that, and by the way, both of the losses that the Lakers have to the Clippers, the Lakers have played better for basically the whole game.
Yep.
It was like the last 8 minutes of the game where the Clippers come back and find a way to do it, and it's always some defensive play, a hustle play by Pat Beverly. Somebody does this, and then next thing you know, they win the game. So props to the Clippers. They do look really good right now, and they've been doing it relatively well, even without some of their guys, because remember, they have to shuffle in and out Kawhi. Paul George was missing time earlier, but they look good right now.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. And like I was watching, I kind of watched a little bit towards the end of that game, and I just don't understand LeBron James. Dude, you're 6'8", being guarded by Patrick Beverly that's 6'1".
And you're trying to shoot jumpers.
And you're trying to shoot James.
Yeah.
Take it to the hole, bro. Yeah. There's nobody, and I love how these so-called NBA experts like to come like, Nick, you don't understand defense. What defense do I need to understand that a 6'8" freight train is sitting there staring at a guy at 6'1"?
Right. And you
like
don't have
Kobe
to run through
Bryant
him.
Was 6'5", 6'6" himself. If he sees Patrick Beverly on him, he laughs. And he's like, this man can't guard me,
at the very
dude.
least, he's posting him up, right? He's trying to post him up in the mid-range game. But the problem with that is, and I think a lot of people do this with Pat Bev, is that he's so savvy, like getting charges, and like people think he flops. I would say I'm on the borderline with that, because here's a part of the problem with a guy like Pat Beverly. People get away with a lot with him. And he gets away with a lot on the defensive side as well. So he understands that sometimes selling these moves is very important.
Right.
Sometimes selling the fact that somebody fouled you is very important to getting the foul. So I think that sometimes it's a mental thing with him too. Remember, Russ doesn't like facing him for some reason, and I think it's more so with that. It's just more a quickness thing. But even Harden, when he's on Harden tries to shoot 1,000 J's either way. But you would think LeBron would try and at least take it in a couple times.
Man, dude, like you're doing the whole, well, we want to take the last shot. But then that's what ends up happening. You get the ball stripped as you go up. The ball clearly comes off your hand last. It's Clippers ball. Yeah. You have to foul. Now you can't win the game.
And if you're down, I don't care about the last shot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
play defense.
And the worst part about that is like you see that now with like 20 seconds on the clock, and the trailing team gets the ball and they burn 13 seconds. Why?
Right.
Why did you just do that?
Right.
Why? Because you wanted to make sure that you rush yourself into the last 7 seconds of the shot clock. Like that's stupid. We saw the Bulls. We saw the Bulls trying to. I think we saw it live. But yeah, that's another thing. Is like teams like the Knicks and the Bulls, man. These are the next couple of weeks are really important for teams like ours. Like it's like. The next couple of weeks are going to determine whether or not we're going to be watching really garbage ball later on in the football or just garbage. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Is it going to be like, oh my God, tear this whole thing down, we suck bad? Or is it going to be like, hey, we're in this, we're okay? Because here's my problem with the Bulls. It's like everyone that's complaining about the Bulls, and I guarantee you it's the same thing with the Knicks. Everyone, the loudest mouths are probably the ones who aren't watching the games.
Facts.
Like people I see on the Bulls Reddit, the subreddit, it's embarrassing sometimes because you will catch people who say stuff like the Bulls are just absolutely terrible. They've done this and this and this and that, and then when you point out to them that the Bulls have literally, I think in all but 3 of their losses, they were leading in the fourth quarter.
Right.
So when you have that type of competitiveness, you have to watch to understand it, right? You have to watch the games to say we lost that game, but we don't suck.
Right.
We lost that game, but man, we played tough ball. So that's the thing about the Bulls right now. I'm not a huge fan of Jim Boylan, but he's a perfect coach for this time of the year.
Right.
Meaning he's a guy who's going to try and rile you up and get you to have a reason to get up and play, which is sometimes what you need, dude. Because some of these games, by the way, some of these NBA games, guys, are getting ugly. It's tough to watch some of these games, dude, where you're either the game, one of the teams is winning by 30, or neither team can shoot the ball and neither team can defend, and it's just basically going back and forth for 40 minutes. It's kind of embarrassing at this point.
And I think that's why you have a guy like Adam Silver that's doing all these, how do I say this? I guess
they're trying to experiment
with these little, tricks and trades, the mid-season classic and this tournament, and let's see who do this, and this. I understand, but this is where I think the NBA and the NCAA need to get together to figure something out because, to your credit about Kobe White, the reason why I think a lot of people are so upset when their point guards don't play well per se is because of Steph Curry.
Right.
Here's a guy that's shooting the ball out of the gym. Okay, Steph Curry shoots the ball out the gym. Russ can when he gets his head straight, but he's unstoppable to the hole. Damian Lillard shoots the ball out of the gym. So now you got these point guards that can put up 40, 50, 60 points whenever they want to by draining 15 threes from God knows where on the court.
Right.
So when you get a guy like a Kobe White or you get some of these younger point guards, they're still trying to get their feet wet. Everyone wants these guys to be the next Steph or the next Russ or the next God knows whoever. And, dude, it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to be on this side of realistic on the fence.
Yeah.
Once we get on this side, then we can start, figuring things out. That's why I laugh at all these stories with the Knicks. Now there's a report out that the Knicks could go after Karl Anthony Towns because I guess Cat has some ties with New York somehow. So
his family. I think his family's from New York or something.
So now all of a sudden it's, let's bring Karl Anthony Towns home. How about we fix what's on the court so we can actually look sexy?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the same Knicks team who beat the by the way, the hot Brooklyn Nets, the new New York team all of a sudden. Piss off.
Wasn't it fun seeing Kyrie and KD's face?
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say this with a straight face. The Nets will rue the day. Okay.
Uh-oh.
First off, they'll rue the day that they ever signed Kyrie Irving.
Okay.
Because Kyrie Irving's biggest enemy in his NBA career is Kyrie friggin' Irving. I don't know who's been in his head.
Yeah.
I don't care how great I am. I will never say I don't want to play with LeBron James.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah. I will never ask to be traded. So if I'm in Cleveland and I got to play second fiddle, I'll play second fiddle, dropping 30 a game.
Right.
Because I got big number 23 here. That's a freight train and no one can stop
Don't you think that's one of those things that in another 20 years we'll find out more about that story because that doesn't really add up quite yet. I know that Kyrie was mad at something, right? We clearly know Kyrie was mad at something and that he requested that trade. But it's got to be a little bit more than just I don't like this guy or this guy or this guy. To me right now, and you're right on the dot with the whole NCAA needing to really get with the NBA because they don't understand that the lack of relationship and the synergy between those two organizations has a lot to do with the lack of the product that's on the court right now.
Right.
And I'll give you this example, and I don't want to sound like I'm hating, but Trae Young. This is a dude who can shoot like crazy, man. He
lights out.
One of the best shooters in the league already.
Facts.
I think I saw this on the internet the other day. I think there's 92 qualified guards as far as the defensive efficiency. He's 90th.
Oh yeah, he can't play defense for squad.
So what I want to point out to people is this, right? A guy like Trae Young. Remember when he was lighting up at Oklahoma,
right?
And everyone's like, he's got to come out now, right? He's got to come out. Like, you're lighting it up. Why would you stay? And he came out and things worked out well for him. And by the way, speaking of ruining the day, Atlanta's going to be ruining the day that they decided that they're going to choose Trae Young over Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
Because, and by the way, I'm sure it doesn't have a lot to do with it, but remember they were saying that Migos was like trying to say bring him to. Migos apparently has a very strong tie to the Atlanta organization, and from what I've been told, Migos had a lot to do with them choosing Trae Young. I don't know how much that's true, but from what I've read, Migos and I don't know what the dude's name is in Migos.
Offset.
Quavo.
Oh, yeah.
Quavo apparently is very tight with the ownership group in Atlanta and basically said, you bring him here, you're going to have one of these sort of Steph Curry type guys. This is what this franchise needs. I would venture to say Quavo has never seen Luka Doncic before he got to Dallas, because if he knew who Luka Doncic was, he wouldn't have done that, because that's going to turn out to be a big mistake. Because
dude, how in the blue hell, as an owner, do you let Quavo
tell you, hey,
of Migos how to run your team or who to draft? Are you the scout personnel?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Are you taking trips to Europe to go see this man, Luka?
Are you gonna
You don't even need to do that. You can fire up a YouTube video.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, come on, man. What is Quavo?
And Atlanta's
If that's true, I hope the Atlanta Hawks win no more than 20 games the rest of their lives.
I'm telling you, I read something that
Holy
said
crap,
because
Quavo.
Killer Mike, another rapper, who's
Mike
very close to the Atlanta ownership group, convinced them to put a barbershop in the stadium. So they have a barbershop in the stadium where it's a clear screen and you can watch the game as you're getting cut up.
Hey, Killer Mike's going to do what Killer Mike's going to do, especially when it comes
Killer
to the
Mike
black
is
folks.
one of the most authentic people
You
will ever. This is a dude who is like pro guns, but also like pro Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Like he hates the government, but also loves like guys like Bernie Sanders and Andrew Yang. Like he's I love him. But again, Atlanta's trying wacky shit with their stadium because the problem with Atlanta was when they went into the draft. Remember, they were transitioning out of some bad team, out of some good teams. Remember that they would make the playoffs every single year, but just never had a chance at the ship. And then they had to dismantle that team. And once they dismantled that team, there was nothing left. And what they saw was, well, we're going to have a face of the franchise. And I think they thought Trae Young would be a better face of the franchise. Now we need to understand it's about who the better player is.
Yeah.
And again, Atlanta's going to be upset with themselves when they see what Luka's going to be doing, because I'm not going to say that Dallas is going to win anytime soon. I'm not going to even say that Luka's going to stay in Dallas. I have a very good feeling Luka knew who he wanted to play for when he was 14, shooting at Barcelona.
Yeah.
Because let's remember, Luka's been a kid who's been playing on national team since he was a kid.
Yep.
He grew up in the NBA and sort of immersed himself in remember, LeBron is basically his hero, right? So I would not be surprised, even if things go terrific in the next couple of years in Dallas, which they look pretty good so far.
Right.
But are they championship level? No.
No.
But what I'm going to say is, like, a guy like Luka might in another couple of years say, I already knew who I was going to play with. I wanted to play with, hopefully it's the Bulls. But yeah, I'll because at this point right now the Bulls, again, it's tough watching basketball this time of the year because it's like. By the way, it's because we're so excited about baseball too.
Oh, dude, tell me about it.
When your teams suck, and in our case in Chicago, because you got the Rangers at least, and you've got obviously the Yankees you're going to be very excited about. But for Chicago teams right now, it's basically just the White Sox, because the Cubs fans I don't know if they just disappear. I don't know if it's just they stop caring. But the Cubs fans just sort of say, well, we'll be back when they're good. Like, it's one of those things where they're like, just call us when they're good again, and we'll be there. So, because they know the stadium's going to be fine, right? It's going to be full this year.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, right? Wrigley's going to be full.
I think the Cubs fans, for lack of a better way of putting it, will always assume that they're always going to be in the running for the division.
Right.
Because Cub fans will delusionally tell you that they think they're better than Milwaukee. Will delusionally tell you that they think that they're better than St. Louis, and know that they're better than Cincinnati and Pittsburgh.
Right.
Right? But then somewhere in the middle of the season, all these distractions start coming around the team. Chris Bryant's name comes up if he's even going to be on the team.
Right.
Jason Hayward, after he had a good 10 games, can't hit for squat in the next 12.
Right.
Yu Darvish is now all of a sudden can't take the heat in the third largest market in America, which you knew what you were doing when you signed with Chicago. Right. It's not like the city just popped up and all of a sudden its popularity just rose.
Right.
I think that the Cub fans can't accept the fact that baby brother is now starting to grow.
Or getting the attention.
It's like being the big little brother.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm older than you, but you're bigger than I am. That's kind of what's happening because the Cubs had their moment. When in 2015, they made it to the NLCS. And then in 2016, they won the whole damn thing. And then in 2017, they lost again in the CS. And then in 2018, they scored 2 runs in 2 games and 2 home games and got their asses kicked out of the playoffs to begin with.
Yeah.
Last year, they were just not awful. They were mediocre at best.
Now let's remember how bad they played at the end of the year last year when they needed it the most. They were shitting the bed night after night, and it was like getting embarrassing.
Exactly. Meanwhile, on Green Street, you have the White Sox, and I told you this on your Facebook, who aren't making the sexiest moves per se by sense of names and free agency, but they're pieces that make sense for this team.
Yeah.
You needed a starter, Dallas Keuchel signed. You needed another bat, and if its wrist is healthy, N1 Encarnacion's where it's at. You needed a catcher, and you took the best catcher, probably a top 5 catcher in baseball, in Grandal. And then you add on Abreu, Moncada, Eloy, Tim Anderson, who's the batting champ. Yeah. And then pitching-wise, you have Lucas G. Alito, as White Sox fans call him. Dallas. You got Reynaldo Lopez.
Yeah.
So the starting 5. And the White Sox know that the AL Central is wide open because the Indians are on the downfall. The Tigers blow. The Royals blow even worse. And the Twins, the jury's still out on me with them.
Right.
I think last year was, I don't want to say a fluke, but it was definitely overachieved because they did what they were supposed to do in the playoffs against the Yankees, and that's get swept.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like barely put up a fight. So I think Cub fans right now are jealous, and they need to be kind of humble thyself because I don't think the Cubs are going to be as good next year.
And I'm super happy. I'm glad you mentioned Minnesota because I told you a little bit about before the mics turned on that Minnesota writers right now are going crazy. Oh my God, why is everyone obsessing over the White Sox? Right, that just shows me as a White Sox fan they're scared. Right, they're a little bit scared now. Right.
Yep.
But more so, what I in my research, because I wanted to research really hard about what this guy was talking about in this specific article. He was mentioning the war of the players that the White Sox brought in and the war of the players that Minnesota brought in and brought back, and basically said, the White Sox have sexy moves on paper, but if you look at their WAR, they didn't make up for as many wins as you would think they did. Well, what I would say is, and after looking into it, because I just couldn't understand how he was coming up with this, you forget that we're letting go of so many people with negative WAR.
Right.
We're letting go of the Dylan Coveys and the let's just say the James Shields of past, his ghost. That's what rebuilding teams do, right? So you're trying to bring in players that maybe other teams don't respect Gio Gonzalez the way that the White Sox do.
Right.
But they signed Gio Gonzalez because they see a left-handed innings eater who, by the way, the White Sox are very well known for making soft-tossing lefties good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's like one thing that they do really well. Don Cooper does really well. He clearly sees a little Mark Burley in Dallas Keuchel and Gio Gonzalez, right?
Yep.
So you're hoping that these two guys are going to fill spots in the rotation where last year we had to have a guy that didn't deserve to be in the league playing. And that is a huge uptick. And what I would also say is, remember what Minnesota did last offseason? They brought in Nelson Cruz. Not necessarily because they needed Nelson Cruz, right? But because having that bat in the lineup is so much, it makes it so much better for the other bats in your lineup. And what do we see? Minnesota have a historical season hitting the ball. That's another thing I want to mention to Minnesota fans. Do you think, because here's I mentioned on last week's show, Yohan Moncada and Tim Anderson had two of the best batting average of balls in plays, BABIP, of all time last year. Am I sitting here saying that they're both gonna reach that same level this year? I can't. Right. I can't realistically say that they're both. Moncada was 4th of all time and Anderson was 12th of all time. Can I possibly say that both of them are going to come and replicate that? No. But what I'm hoping is they're going to, even out in other areas, right? Moncada's defense is going to get a little bit better. Anderson's defense is going to get a little bit better. Moncada's going to get better at swinging and missing. Anderson's going to get better at swinging and missing. These are little incremental things you need. And that's, again, what happens with the Cubs is you're a team that's so now spoiled with a good team, right? We remember when the Cubs were terrible in transitioning and doing exactly what the Cubs did, or the White Sox did. They brought in a bunch of pieces that they could use for a year, and then they unloaded it for anything they could get back, right? And that's what the White Sox did for a long time too, and we're seeing it come into fruition. And I see the White Sox this year in the same way I saw the Cubs in 2015. The year before they got it done.
Right.
I see a team that's like just right there. And I think the Edwin Encarnacion addition makes it even more clear that the White Sox think that they're good, right? That they know now we're good. We're going to bring in this guy who, by the way, he's not going to play in the field at all.
No.
He's going to be a DH pretty much all season. And last year he had a good, you mentioned his wrist injury towards the end of the season, but he had a really respectable season with the Mariners, and even when he started with the Yankees, but he was playing through some injuries too towards the end, and then obviously the wrist was never right towards the end either. Right. And did the Yankees keep him on the playoff roster?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It cost them Game 6 when Giancarlo should have been in that lineup.
That's right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so, I mean, again, these are the incremental steps that you take, and Cubs fans, I said it last week, you got to be patient if you're a Cubs fan, dude. You can't expect just because they got the ring in 2016 that now every single year you have to expect a ring. That's just not – you can't do that, dude.
That's what happens when you haven't won titles in 100-plus years.
Right.
You want to get that taste again, and you want to get back to the top of the mountain, but it's hard sometimes because when that bullseye is on your back, I think a lot of that kind of happened with Joe Torre when he became manager of the Yankees. Like when he won the title in '96, a lot of people didn't think the Yankees were even going to win the championship that year because the Braves were so mighty with Smoltz and Glavine and Greg Maddux.
Greg Maddux, sorry.
When you had that big three. And they more or less did upset the Atlanta Braves in that series. The Braves were favored to win that.
Yeah.
So then when you go into the season in '97 and you end up losing to the Cleveland Indians, who then lost to the eventual Florida Marlins for the World Series championship, you want to get that taste back. So what do you do as George Steinbrenner and as Joe Torre? You start bringing in guys like Paul O'Neill. You start bringing in guys like, you make the trade for Roger Clemens, for David Wells. And then you start doing all these little things.
Right.
And then you win a championship in '98. And then all those guys stay together. So you win a championship again in '99. And then most of them stay together again. So then you beat the Mets in 2000. So now you're a dynasty. You won 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
In the Cubs case, though, they got to getting so used to wanting to hit home runs.
Right.
It's what doomed them in 2017. It's what really killed them in 2018.
Yeah.
If the Cubs would have just played situational baseball, they would have at least beaten Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But every time you go up there, Baez is trying to bomb, Rizzo's trying to bomb, Bryant's trying to bomb.
Even Contreras. Contreras is the worst.
They're all trying to hit bombs, dude. Just get on base and move.
Yeah, people. I hear Cubs fans keep asking, why are we trying to trade Contreras? He's so good. Because first of all, he's only good when he wants to be, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing about that guy. I've been around Cubs baseball enough to know that guy is like really good in some stints and really bad in some stints. So when you have a player like that, you can't just keep them around and expect things are going to change, right? That they're going to be this model of consistency moving forward. They're not going to be. And players like Contreras and Bryant, quite frankly, are the only guys left with value that they want to trade.
Yep.
Everybody else that has value on that team, they don't want to trade.
Right.
So that's a huge issue. And again, you talk about the Hayward contract. You obviously, you have Darvish who this year is hoping to have a renaissance year, because you would think now that the Cubs would have to start thinking about, are we going to be midseason unloaders? Are we going to sellers? Are we going to basically just unload our whole team and say, here, take everything and give us what you have? Because at the end of the day right now, can you afford to middle as the Cubs?
Right.
You can't. You have to either be in that upper echelon where you're in it every single year, which right now you're not.
Right.
Like, it's kind of crazy to think about it. If you would have said at the beginning of the 2018 season, so 2 years ago now, if you would have said, hey, in the beginning of 2020, you're going to have no shot. You're not going to have a shot at the Central, which I'll be honest with you, I don't think you have a shot at the Central this year. I think the Brewers, the Cardinals both are trying to either keep – they haven't gotten better, but they're trying to maintain what they have, right? The Brewers had no chance of getting better because they were going to lose Grandal. They were going to lose a lot of these guys either way. But, like, I see the Reds improving, pretty heavily. I see the Cardinals just they found a way last year to do it.
Yep.
Why wouldn't I assume they'll find a way this year?
Yep.
So, and even the Pirates, in a certain respect, it's like the Pirates just always find a way to do something weird and win like 70 or 80 games. It's kind of crazy. I know last year they were terrible. Last couple of years they've been terrible. But again, you'll start to see that the Cubs are no longer really the favorite, right? So if you were to tell somebody in 2018, the beginning of the season, hey, we don't know how this season's going to go, but we know that in 2020 we're not going to be in it. It's a bad situation to be in, man, and they've got to find a way out of it, and sometimes the only way out of it is to, again, unload and get what you can out of it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, and I mean, I don't know what I personally don't know what I expect from the Cubs this year. I really don't. I feel like they made moves out of desperation to get back to being kings of the mountain when they lost in 2017. Mm-hmm. That the moves just didn't make sense.
No, yeah.
Like Jason Hayward, did you really need to sign him to that big of a contract? Was he really that much of a necessity for you in the outfield? And the answer to that, to me, was no.
Yeah.
You like Theo had to go out and make this sexy move, and now here you are stuck in 2019 going into 2020 where you really can't make no other moves to make Joe Madden your fall guy, which I totally understand. I feel like the players kind of discorded themselves from Joe Madden.
Yeah.
Whatever he was preaching, they weren't listening.
No.
They just weren't. So now, all of a sudden, you're going to bring in David Ross only not because you think David Ross is a good manager to be, but because you've seen the Yankees take Aaron Boone out of the booth and win 200-game seasons, but y'all are not us. The Cubs are not the Yankees. You're not even close.
And they were saying that the reason why Madden lost the locker room was because he was too buddy-buddy with them, and that they were taking advantage of Madden because – similar to with the Bears, where it's like, there's going to be club dub, and I'm never going to really have a that big of a drop off because I'm always going to be partying and this is going to be fun locker room. But that's not always going to work when you're not winning, right? So like when you're not winning games, last year it wasn't as fun for these guys,
right?
So what happened? That's what really perplexed me about the David Ross move. I thought Joe Girardi would have made a lot more sense for a lot more reasons.
Yep.
Because Joe Girardi, to me, is also an organization builder, right? You can't come in and expect David Ross, a guy who's basically let's remember, David Ross was a backup catcher for the majority of his career.
That's right.
He played a significant role in the Cubs in the last couple of years of his career as a veteran kind of glue guy, right? He was never a tremendous player with a tremendous sense of the game. Not really. He was just kind of a backup catcher, right? You can't expect a guy to come in on day one and run an organization from single A up. That's not really something that I would want in a manager of a team that we're gonna have a quasi rebuild.
Right.
Like I don't want a guy like I want a guy like Joe Girardi because I know Joe Girardi knows exactly what to do in situations when it comes to free agency, some of these other little intricate parts of being a manager. Where again, Rick Renteria apparently was very heavily involved in all of the players that were considered this offseason, including he was the final say on Edwin Encarnacion, because they were apparently on the fence of whether or not a guy like that is going to be worth it. At the end of the day, when you have a manager who, like Rick Renteria, who's been through the ringer, he's been a manager before, far be it a very brief stint with the Cubs. The guy has been in the seat before. He understands how to deal with those things, and Ross isn't going to know how to deal with those things. So
no.
I don't expect much from the Cubs at all this year. I think if they contend for the wild card, that would be to me a really, really good success story.
I'm with you on that. So, and then Betances ends up signing with the Mets. Yeah. And now with that being said, now all of a sudden the rumors for the Yankees to go out and get Josh Hader from Milwaukee have flourished again, but now this time we're talking about Milwaukee wants both. What's my guys?
You're not talking about
and Duhar and Frazier.
Oh,
both.
and Duhar, okay.
And they're talking about the reason why the deal hasn't been completed, quote unquote, because they want another piece, as in Milwaukee. Dude, hell no.
But why? I'm gonna scream why at both teams. The Yankees have Chapman and Britton. And in addition to that, they've got really, really good right-handed relievers as well, even with Betances leaving. Ottavino is one of them. And even to a certain extent, when you have a guy like Chapman who's going to take over the latter half of the game, you really don't need a full bullpen the way that, so you're going to add Hader, who's a lefty specialist, by the way. I know he's a guy who can close games against righties, but really he's a lefty, and you're going to, and I just realized how dominant Zach Britton actually is.
Yeah.
I know he's had,
when that sinker's on.
I know he's had some like iffy season, or I guess stretches with the Yankees, but I read something that's like since 2013, he's like has the second best ERA or something like that of any pitcher in the league or reliever in the league. Yeah, he is one of those underrated guys. I just don't understand why the Yankees would ever want to give up anything value-wise to get another lefty in there.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why Milwaukee wants to trade Hader.
Right. The man has one bad game in a wild card game, and all of a sudden you're trying to get rid of him. Yeah.
But by the way, the last 2 seasons you've been relying on him for fucking 75 to 80 games a season. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't get that either. But I mean, I think at this point, like, there are some Yankee fans that are collaborating for the Yankees to go grab Josh Bell from Pittsburgh because they think that the Yankees are one good, solid left-handed bat to winning. And I'm not.
Would he play first?
He would play first.
Okay.
So that's pretty much saying that you don't have too much faith in Mike Ford, who kind of got hot towards the end of the year last year, and you definitely don't have faith in Luke Voigt, who started off hot and then had that oblique injury, and then he played so bad that they left him off the playoff roster. So, I mean, to me, I feel like, there's some interesting things that's going on, but, I mean, outside of the Yankees really getting Garrett Cole, which, again, we've mentioned over the last couple of weeks was kind of their main prize, I think the Yankees at this point are pretty content and set, and now it's all, they fired their their strengthening coach, because the Yankees, God forbid, stayed healthy for more than 10 games last year.
That's pretty crazy too, man.
So I mean, I feel the Yankees are pretty much set, because I think the rest of the East, with the exception of Tampa Bay, are not good enough to really do. The Red Sox, as much as they don't want to say it, and they'll go ahead and admit it, dude, they're in such rebuilding stage that it's not even funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you have Mookie Betts, who you're pretty much ain't going to be with the team next year. You're trying to get rid of Price. I bet you if the price is right, you would get rid of Sale, because I think the Red Sox ran Chris Sale in the ground.
Yeah, and he wasn't very good last year.
No.
He was good. He was good in terms of like replacement level, but for Chris Sale, he wasn't good.
No, he wasn't good at all. And it all started when he was complaining about shoulder fatigue.
Right.
At the end of 2018.
Yeah.
So he's complaining about shoulder fatigue, even though they won the World Series. He's talking about shoulder fatigue. Then he was talking about shoulder fatigue again, which then made Joey Cora or Alex Cora flipping do this mess where he didn't pitch the pitches that much in spring training.
Right.
Which ultimately screwed him in the beginning of the season. They could never catch up.
Yeah.
And if I was the Yankees, I wouldn't do it. Never mind. I'm not even going to flirt with that. I was going to say, why don't you just trade for David Price? Because he's a bitch on every team David Price has played for. When he plays against the Yankees, he gets worked.
Yeah.
So if you can't beat him, you might as well join him.
Right.
But we don't need him.
Yeah,
he stays
and at the same time,
$217 million ass right where he's at.
We talked about how desperate they are. Like, they're willing to give up a young piece of their core to just get rid of David Price. That's kind of crazy to think about because, like, first of all, if we want to talk about greed, I get it, right? The luxury tax is a bitch. Like, they are trying to get under the luxury tax, but make no mistake about it. And if you're a Boston fan defending the owners of the Red Sox, you're a bootlicker because the Red Sox can afford the luxury tax. They can afford any sort of luxury tax that you impose on them.
Right.
They are not strapped for cash. I think they own that. The same ownership group for the Red Sox owns the Liverpool team in soccer. They have a couple of different ownership groups. So they are not strapped for cash. The reason why they're doing this is simply because they realize that they're hemorrhaging money and not necessarily being good on the field. You don't mind paying that price if you're going to be good every single year.
Right.
But when you have a year like you had last year where you're coming off of winning the World Series and you should be favored coming in to this year, and next thing you know, you basically trip over yourself all season long and basically you eliminate yourself out of contention when there's like fucking 50 games left in the season.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy how bad the Red Sox were in some stretches throughout the season, and they never even really came close. So this is not this.
Well, their bullpen is trash too.
Yeah, and by the way, after Sale and Price, things get a little bit weird in their rotation.
And you don't have Rick Porcello there anymore because he went to New York.
Right. Yeah, and when you're struggling in the bullpen, because remember it seemed like they needed Kimbrel, right?
Yeah.
And then they let go of Kimbrel because of the price. Again, not because they couldn't afford him, but just because for out of principle, we don't want to pay this guy this much. And next thing you know, the next season they have a really giant hole in the bullpen, and it just so happens to be the hole that you left there by letting go of Kimbrel. And Kimbrel's a guy who's, we don't know what's going to happen with him on the Cubs this season. Like, he wasn't really good towards the end of the season. Remember, he had that one game where I think he threw 2 pitches in a row and gave up 2 home runs, and this was like when the Cubs needed a win late in the season, and he gives up 2 home runs off back-to-back pitches.
Sean says, are the Red Sox and the Cubs in the same boat? I think so.
But here's my thing about the Red Sox. Let's say the Red Sox stay put. Mm-hmm. And they don't trade anybody off of this team. Mm-hmm. They can win next year. They can still win ball games. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be a World Series favorite,
right?
But they can still win ball games with this team next year. They can find a way to manufacture wins. I don't really see that with the Cubs as much right now. Like, I see with the Cubs, it's going to be a struggle for them throughout the season if they don't get the type of production out of the middle lineup that they need every single night, which it's tough. We know what it's like in the MLB. As good as anybody's going to get, you're never going to be better than a 350 hitter, right? Or like even 400, right? So you're never going to have somebody who's on every single day. So what made the Cubs so good for so long is that 2 through 6 was really tough.
Right.
And when 2 through 6 is really tough, you can really make a dent. And as long as your bullpen and your starter can keep it together, we can find a way to win ball games. I don't see that this year with them, and I see it more with the Red Sox. So mentality-wise, sure, they're both trying to get under the luxury tax, both trying to find a way to shed some money, but the Red Sox don't have to tank this season, right? I think the Cubs are in a position where, like, if we see some activity in the next week or two and we see Contreras go, possibly Bryant go, possibly, again, we saw they were trying to convince other teams that they're going to give them a prospect to possibly take Jason Hayward's contract off their hands. The Angels were in discussion. I think the Angels were the team that I saw in discussion with that, and that doesn't make sense for either team. Like, I know the Angels need an outfielder, but you're going to have another overpaid outfielder. Like, the Angels might as well just sign everyone to $100 million contract, right off the street. Who cares? Because it just seems like the Angels don't give a shit. Like, they don't ever learn their lesson. And by the way, guys, we're watching the end
Joe
of this.
Burrow just got his head ripped off, and they missed that face mask.
And he's still in the game, and it's 56-21 with 14 minutes. I don't agree with this. I thought it was fine. Maybe out of the half, maybe give him a drive or two. But if he comes out in the next drive, this is too much. It's 56-21. This is done. I know there's 14 minutes left, but this is done. Like,
yeah, no, this game was over.
There's no reason for him
as
to be
soon as we were starting the show.
Yeah, and Oklahoma did show some life, but they only have 7 points to show for it. So, guys, do us a favor. Mention us and the show and share it out and review us, say nice things about us. iTunes, we've said it over the last couple of weeks. We're on Spotify now.
Yeah,
we're
right.
big time as fuck now.
Hell
we're on Spotify.
right.
Google Play. Again, I don't know what Google Play is exactly, but Google Play, we're on there, so check us out on there.
I gotta try this out.
Yeah, please try it out. So again, mackandblack.com is the website as well.
All right, hold on. Let's try this.
And looks like a missed kick by the
Hey Google, play the Mack and Black podcast on Spotify. Yahtzee. Hold on.
If I see my face on there.
I swear to God, if this thing pops up, I'm going to freak the F out. It's not popping up. Hold on a second.
It did give us Spotify.
It did. It did.
Yeah, guys. So mackandblack.com is the website. And you can see all of our past shows there as well as every single week. Obviously, we do these live on Facebook, but you can catch the audio-only version, obviously the video version. You can also check us out on our network website, which is PodRiver.com. And we're going to try this one more time.
Hey, Google, play Mack and Black podcast on Spotify.
Oh,
Yahtzee.
It worked. Wow.
Yahtzee.
Wow.
That's all you have to do as evidence.
Yeah.
As evidence. There we are. Hell right. Yes, sir.
So we proved it to you. So all you really even have to do is talk into your phone, and literally will pop up on your screen.
Yeah. So either ask Siri's dumbass or ask Google,
or Google,
and you figure it out,
or just scroll in and use your fingers and your mind and click the proper things on the keyboard to type out Mack and Black, and just do us a favor, guys.
Whole day.
Help us out, guys. This is the last show of 2019, and we're hoping to go into 2020 strong. And keep putting out a good product for you guys weekly. Appreciate all the support. But again, guys, help us out. Share us out. iTunes, Spotify, mackandblack.com. So guys, it's 56-21 here at LSU versus Oklahoma. It's 6:22, so it's a little early for the Bulls game, but I know we're going to have the Clemson-Ohio State game coming up in the next, I would probably say 20, maybe 30 minutes. Actually, probably more than that.
Probably would have been the better of.
Which and let's be honest, they always put the better game last, right? They always put like the more competitive game later. So maybe I'm just fabricating that, but I did always think that was going to be the good game. So we'll definitely catch at the very least the first maybe quarter or two of that one while we're still on air. But and then by the way, because we didn't wrap it in a bow last week, so the UFC is finito for the rest of 2019. There's no MMA unless you consider PFL MMA. I like PFL actually. I don't
usually watch PFL.
The problem with PFL is that they have a ton of guys that you're never going to know, right? They have like the UFC. The good thing about the UFC is like even if you're not really on top of your UFC game, if you look at a fight card, you'll see at least one or two names that you know. And that you're like, oh, I remember him, or hey, you know what, I liked him, or that girl, she was good. But with PFL, it's a bunch of people from, Dagestan, with these Magomed Sharipov last names and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, these guys are animals. Like, some of these PFL matches, I'm like, damn, these are better than UFC, but you just don't get to see it. So they're going to have $1 million giveaway to each one of their champions on New Year's Eve. So Tuesday night, I believe, Tuesday is New Year's Eve, right?
Yes.
So Tuesday night, you'll see some PFL action. And again, every championship fight there, you get the belt and you get $1 million in cash. So let's say like $667,000 after Uncle Sam comes by. Probably a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. Like $667,000.
Lord knows.
Uncle Sam's got to collect his half. And if he don't, you're in trouble. And that just reminded me.
Taking my check.
That just reminded me. Christmas is over. Send my W-2s. I'm ready. Let's get this going. I'm trying to get that tax.
Before we fall in love with all this Trump nonsense.
Exactly.
I get my...
Hey man, all I'm gonna say right now is I better get back more than I did last year. Let's just put it that way because I didn't get back shit last year.
Right, with this economy boost we keep talking about.
The economy's doing amazing, but
that boost in my pocket.
None of it's come. None of it's come to me yet. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah. So to wrap the UFC stuff in a bow, we're gonna see. McGregor and that's wrong. I'm sorry. I was gonna say the next UFC event is gonna be the McGregor Cowboy fight, but that's not till the end of January. So I think they have
the Jones, what's his name fight? Or
no, because that one's in February, I think too. So let me so I don't put my foot in my mouth any more than I already have. I'll take a look at what of our upcoming events are. Yeah. So sorry about that. I actually was right. It's the second week of January is the Cowboy and Conor fight, and then the next weekend you'll have Curtis Blades versus Dos Santos. I think that's a UFC.
Curtis
that's a fight night.
Blades.
Curtis Razor Blades, and that's a good fight for him. That's actually a good fight for both of them. So I hope we can get that one going. UFC 247 as well. That one is going to be January. That card, I believe, is the. That's the John Jones, Dominic Reyes, our girl, Valentina, and her sister.
Hell right.
Her sister's very worth a follow, guys.
Is she?
Antonina, I believe, Shevchenko. Beautiful, beautiful woman. But Valentina Shevchenko.
Is she younger?
She's the younger one, yeah.
So Valentina's the older one?
Valentina's the older one.
All right, I'll go after Valentina.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you're going to have to leave Antonina to me, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no. I'll shoot my shot with Valentina.
With Val. Yeah, she's got a new hair color because of her Halle Berry movie, so we'll
Does Valentina know Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
She's apparently very well versed in all. She's done everything.
Okay, so this is why I asked such a question. Is because first off, in 2020, I'm going to start pressuring my challenge towards Randy Couture.
Okay.
I'm still trying to get a solid 3-round match with Randy
Oh
Couture.
my God!
Have I not mentioned this?
No, you've never mentioned this to me before.
Snap. Okay.
Yeah, please bring it on.
Okay, so here's what happened. When I was doing the Sports Den years ago.
Okay.
It was around that time when Randy Couture had lost to Brock.
Okay.
But then had beaten what's the boxer? Lights Out Tony.
Oh, okay. It was Tony.
Somewhere in there, right? And when he beat Lights Out Tony, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He's like, okay, James Lights Out Tony's one of the greatest boxers in the world, so I'm not going to go toe-to-toe. I'm just going to wrestle him. And obviously, he took him a minute to get him down and choke him out, right?
Right.
I was like, that's a bitch-ass move because I could have done much better than James Toney, and he might be more fit than me. And I was like, and I could do better than Brock. So I want a 3-round, 5-minute match with former UFC heavyweight champion Randy Couture. And I know Randy Couture could be.
He's listening because we talked about PFL, and he's the announcer for PFL. So Randy, he is.
Okay.
So Randy, the natural Couture.
So Randy, what I need you to do is go on Spotify, listen to this broadcast, and I need you to answer my challenge.
Yeah.
And whatever monies we get out of this, can go to whatever charity.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
let me take that
Well,
back.
you're gonna have
Let
to
me
take your
get
cut.
let me get at least a G.
You're gonna have to take your cut.
I'll take a G.
Okay.
And we'll put the rest for charity.
Okay.
Just
okay.
let me get my G,
Dude, you're.
so I can save up for my New York trip in August.
Let me just tell people what type of guy you're talking about.
I gotta be able to wear one to mask. So
Now you gotta have a helmet. Okay.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case. You never know.
I gotta protect this investment.
You never know, for sure.
Okay?
For sure. Let me
This
tell
isn't
you.
just a radio podcast. We're actually on air.
True.
And people are looking at us. I want people to be like,
we need to make sure to keep our baby makers.
hey, Nick, why you got that big ass lump on your jaw? Because I took a 2,000 PSI punch to the face.
Just from Randy Couture. Guys, Randy Couture is one of the toughest men ever created. He had a stroke, and he walked himself to the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. He gonna get a stroke once I'm through with his ass.
You hear this,
because
Randy?
I will beat Randy Couture.
Okay.
He cannot out-wrestle me like he did Brock and like he did James Lights Out Tony. He can't.
We're going to start a hashtag.
Yes!
We're gonna figure it out. We're going to get this viral.
Yes,
because
this needs to be done.
We need to make this happen.
This needs to be done. And don't get the game twisted, because by the time he answers, I'm going to have a lot of his weight on.
Right. So, no, I mean, listen, dude.
Hell dude.
As long as there's an ambulance very close nearby.
For
Randy,
him,
guys.
I don't need no ambulance. Shoot.
No ambulance.
So,
no, but
the reason why I asked about Valentina is I'm be like, all right, baby, look. Because I know there's women who can out BJJ guys that are 2 times bigger than them.
3 times, yeah. I
okay.
saw there's this chick at Abu Dhabi.
Bigger.
She was 120. She beat up one of the biggest guys, like 240 something. It was crazy.
Yep. And so I know I'm probably 3 times bigger than Valentina. So I'm be like, hey, look, baby, we'll do this brilliant jiu-jitsu match. If I win, you gotta let me take you out on a date. No questions asked.
Okay, I like that.
If I lose, we'll go on a date, but I'll pay.
Okay. See, and you get to and you have to take her somewhere fancy. It's got to be like one of those expensive places.
Bro,
we're gonna have to spend the whole.
Did you not see Valentina in the stands in that last game? Of course, I want her to come out fancy.
Please, it's gonna be fancy.
Shit, I'm not trying to take her to no super dog.
Those ears, no, we can't do that. No.
Hell no. We need to go to the Chicago Chop House.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I'm trying to go somewhere fancy
Fogo
as
de
hell.
Chao, baby. You know, we'll see.
Bruh, would you like to fight? We have a fight in Chardonnay. We're like, yes, I'll take a glass. It's on Valentina.
Right, it's on Val, yeah.
Because I made her tap out
By the way,
the arm bar because I'm a beast.
Valentina did try and take the intergender championship. She wanted to fight Henry Cejudo, and the cringe champion, the Triple C Henry Cejudo. They had a little thing on Twitter for a little while that they wanted to do an intergender champion.
She would whoop his
I was gonna say, I don't know if I don't know what the weight distribution is gonna be, how like the difference is gonna be, but to me, Valentina, dude, is a really. That's why I like what Valentina said. I think Ariel Helwani asked her about fighting Amanda Nunes, and she said first and foremost, she wants to defend her belt a couple of times, but she does feel like she wants to fight Amanda eventually. She said it's going to happen, but she also said that she feels like she needs to work a little bit more on some more advanced striking to be able to get to somebody like Amanda. So clearly Valentina is rearing up and preparing to fight Amanda Nunes, which is interesting. And by the way, speaking of Amanda Nunes, there was a report earlier. Actually, it was actually last week. I'm sorry, that the UFC is maybe considering a cross-promotional card with Bellator.
Ooh.
And the reasoning behind this is to make a Cyborg versus Amanda 2. Okay. I'm okay with that. But like, I also want to see, like, let's have a couple other cool ones. Like, let's have Musasi, and I don't think Rory McDonald's there. I think McDonald's with PFL now. But oh, by the way, I think that just happened. Rory McDonald, he signed with PFL. Apparently, PFL's paying now. They just said, "Fuck it, we're just gonna pay you," because they took Rory McDonald, they took Khabib's cousins. Khabib has two cousins that apparently were supposed to be in the UFC, and they said, "No, we'll just take more money for now, and we'll get our cheddar up, and then we'll be in the UFC another like 2 or 3 years." So I think Omar Nurmagomedov, as I usually can say Nurmagomedov. Sorry, Omar Nurmagomedov is I think his cousin. So yeah, that'll be the wrap up on the UFC, guys. No UFC probably again until the Conor fight, which we'll definitely be on top of that one. Because,
so Randy, come see me to get your ass whooped.
Randy,
Valentina, come see me so I can holler.
And maybe send us a media pass. We'll go to New York for the New Year's Eve fights, and we'll both request off, and we'll find a way to make it.
Oh yeah, I can make this happen. We can make it happen,
please. Yeah, just send us out, and we'll do promotion. We'll cut video. We'll cut promos with Randy. We'll do it all. I'll be his Don King. Okay.
And if you want to wait till after New Year's, that's fine.
That's fine too.
We could go to the
we'll solve the
Conor Cowboy fight.
Yeah.
And then
that's cool too.
And then this could be the seating. It could be Randy Couture, me, Valentina, you.
Okay.
So then I can look at Randy Couture like I'm gonna knock your ass out, and then turn around to Valentina like, "How you enjoying the fights, baby? You need another beer? Like 2 more beers."
Oh man, we're gonna be popular. We're gonna be popular that weekend.
I swear to God, dude.
Randy Couture and Valentina.
Dude, Randy Couture does not want to see me.
No.
And now this call out is just this is one of my goals of 2020 because I've talked about it, and then I wasn't in the podcast game, like I took a break, and then it kind of died out. But now that I'm getting my health back in check and everything, nah, man, he can get his ass whooped so I can feel better about it later.
We just need like maybe a month of prep time, right? Like a month. Let's give us 2 months.
Give me 2 months.
Give us 2 months. Give us 2 months.
Let me continue to tweak out my wrestling skills. Make sure I still got the juice, which I know I have.
You gotta get that sprawl in order.
You feel me? Gotta get my takedown defense straight.
Okay.
I swear to God, Randy Couture does not know the ass whooping.
You got to come with the money, though, Randy. PFL and Randy, you got to come with the money if we're gonna do this.
Right, I don't need no serious bread. I just need enough, to pay the bill.
Take care of the man,
and then the rest goes to charity.
He's going to be a new superstar in your organization. You might as well take care of him. By the way, Joe Burrow is not going to be coming in the back in the game. It's 56-28, 9:39 left, and Burrow doesn't have his helmet on. So, LSU is going to move on to the national championship game, which I believe will be played, the second Sunday.
7th?
Yeah, I think it's. Oh yeah, you're right. It is the 7th, so it's technically the second Sunday, but still.
They're playing on a Sunday this year.
I believe a Monday. I'm sorry, Monday. Sorry. So we know LSU's in it. Ohio State and Clemson, I think, kicks off in the next 25 minutes, maybe. So we'll probably catch some of that. Other than that, there's not much going on. Like I said, I think the Bulls are.
Dude, have you seen this? Have you seen this Bob Memory video? This is where the white girl passes it to the other white girl, and she completely hawks his 3.
Yeah.
And then she's throwing up signs as if the guy's like, it's not even effing close.
Here's the thing about Bob Memory, though. He I think this was during the Christmas slate of games. He put up a video about somebody making a kick, or he thinks that he made the kick, but they called it no good.
That was it. That was the
Memphis Louisiana Tech game. Yep.
Yeah.
And thankfully there's a bunch of comments because people knew, but he actually did miss that kick. So it was a weird situation where the kicker actually kicked it above the goalpost.
Right.
So when you're kicking it above the goalpost, it has to you can't bend it in like soccer ball, right?
Right.
It has to go clearly to in between the goalposts where it would be, especially if you're going over, and he just kicked it too high is what he did.
Yeah.
If he would have kicked it lower, it would have been good.
Right.
Because he kicked it too high, it was no good. So he went viral over the break because that video sort of broke the internet because people were wondering, is that good or is that no good? Because it does look good on video, but again, the rule book is clear that if you kick it above the goalpost, you can't have it bend in. It has to be clearly a.
I thought it was no good the minute I saw it. I was like, no, that kick's no good.
Yeah, and I think it had to do with the angle of the camera the camera angle he was using on the video.
Yeah.
Because the camera angle was sort of at a little bit of an angle that it's usually at, and it looks like it went straighter than it did, but it didn't. So,
right.
But yeah, so college football is rearing up here. We'll have a matchup for the national title here, probably by 11 p.m. Central tonight. Want to talk some football, man?
What's good in the NFL, dude? Last week.
Last week of the season. It's crazy to think
Before
about.
you blink, the Super Bowl will be here. Before you blink,
Nick, we were here. I was gonna say we were here talking draft. I believe, we were still talking draft when we were here.
That's right. That's right.
So, man, we've been doing this show for a hot minute. But, yeah, Week 17, the playoff picture is pretty much it's
the only two spots we're missing is if Tennessee beats Houston, they're in.
Right.
If the Eagles beat the Giants, they're in.
And because they won last week, they don't need the Cowboys to lose now, right? So now they basically control their own fate.
Dallas needs them to beat Washington
and
the Giants to upset Philly for them to get in if Philly wins, because Philly has the better record.
Right.
So
they would have to tie, essentially. Yeah.
They would have to tie, and Dallas still holds the tiebreaker. So.
Got it. Okay. Well, yeah, and you know.
And I bet you as much as stupid as it might sound, there's probably a lot of Dallas fans that hope to God that they lose. So it's just more
because they don't want Garrett back. I don't blame them.
Dude, that game plan that they had last week, dude, they just need a whole brand new night. Here's the thing. Because at some point you're gonna have to figure out what you're gonna do with Dak Prescott. You know, this man's asking for $40 million. He
might get it.
He might get it because I think Jerry Jones is sitting. It's like, the reason why we're struggling is not because of Dak. Like, Dak's actually played well. But how about not having Amari Cooper take himself out of key situations in the game and drop passes? Yeah. Which, by the way, it's starting to make John Gruden look like more of a genius that he got rid of him in the first place. Yep. Okay? How about on 3rd and 1, and this happened in the game between Tampa and Houston on Saturday. Why is it on 3rd and 1 you're throwing out route passes?
Right, yeah.
Run the goddamn ball.
You have one of the best offensive lines, one of the best running backs.
1,500 pounds of man in front of you.
Yeah.
You're telling me Ezekiel Elliott can't run 1 yard?
Right.
Jesus, Marion Joseph, dude.
And again,
run the ball.
Remember, everyone was on Kellen Moore's nuts early in the season. It was like Kellen Moore was like somehow the next guru in the NFL.
Oh yeah, because we had to get rid of Sky Linehan. He's such a piece of crap. Kellen Moore.
Look at where he's at
doing
now.
the same BS.
And by the way, remember all that shit that they were talking about Kellen Moore. He's so free flowing. He can change on a dime. This team now is more of remember because they were beating up on shitty teams the first 5-6 games of the season.
True.
They were beating up on these shitty teams, and you're watching the tape and you're thinking, wow, they're calling really good plays and they're able to make the adjustments and this and this and that. And the last 6 or 7 games, you're looking at them like, do you guys even know what you're doing? I mean, that Bears game alone, that lost them the whole season. I mean, with the Maher kick that he missed, that basically, I know it didn't decide the game, but because of the circumstances, right? The week before he had a couple of a miss or 2, I believe, and he was already on the block, and then you know that this game against the Bears coming up is super important because Philly is on your heels now. And you have no sense of urgency going into that game, and you lose that game, again, not by the field goal, but next thing you know, okay, now we're going to cut Maher, and you know what? Now we're going to change things up on our offense. It didn't work, and by the way, Philadelphia didn't look that great either. So,
no, they didn't.
So yeah, I it's even worse for the Cowboys because it's like if you're a Cowboys fan, how conflicted are you going to be on Sunday when you're like, please win, but like also if we win, can we still fire this guy? Like,
yeah, because I'm telling you, if the Cowboys make the playoffs, Jason Garrett is not getting fired.
Yeah,
and he's not getting fired, and that means Kellen Moore's going to stay, and then that even means that what's his name's going to stay too, Ken Norton Jr., who's the defensive coordinator.
Right.
They're all going to stay. And I think Dallas might be that one team the most out of all the NFL teams that just needs new voice, new leadership, and something fresh because Jason Garrett is stale. I know Kellen Moore is fresh, but he's running the same offense.
Rod Marinelli, like, by the way, Rod Marinelli, I know he doesn't have he's not a coordinator for them technically anymore, but Rod Marinelli hasn't been relevant in the league since he was with the Bears.
He hasn't been relevant in the league
in a
since
long
he was the
time.
D-line coach in Tampa.
That's what I'm saying. Like this guy, he finds a way to get these roles, but his defenses never really live up to the potential.
Nope.
Like this Dallas defense, dude, is stacked with talent. The secondary is stacked with talent. They have 3 amazing linebackers. Granted, they have had some injuries troubles throughout the year. They have one of the best defensive lines in the league too. I mean, Robert Quinn and DeMarcus Lawrence, like. Yeah. These are dudes that you should be getting to the quarterback with. And by the way, Philadelphia isn't good at protecting the quarterback. Nope. And you come in and you aren't able to touch Carson Wentz. And by the way, Carson Wentz wasn't that good. And Miles Sanders and Boston Scott basically bailed them out of a lot
Dallas Goedert.
And Dallas Goedert, yeah, which, again, we talked shit about Dallas Goedert, but that's what they liked Dallas Goedert to do, to line up as a receiver and go and do those things. They didn't prove us wrong because I think a lot of that damage was against safeties and linebackers, but when you're the Cowboys, you're not able to make that adjustment that, you know what, they treat Dallas Goedert as a wide receiver, so we'll just put a corner on him and play nickel instead of whatever, our regular. But my big thing with the Cowboys is this. At what point do you stop saying, okay, what about Garrett? When are we going to start talking about Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones?
Yep.
When are we going to talk about those two guys?
Yep.
Jerry Jones seems to get out of. By the way, he has a weekly radio show every single week in Dallas, and I think 2 weeks ago, I think it might have been after the Bears game, he hung up on them or he got dropped off of the call because he was yelling at them and screaming at them. And a lot of people at the radio station were like, "This guy might be like off his rocker now. Like this guy might legitimately be not all there." When do you start looking at that?
I mean, think about it like this. It's an ego thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a huge ego thing because it seems like I think at some point, even the greatest owners that have made all the decisions, case in point, the late great George Steinbrenner III. Mm-hmm. We know that even though Brian Cashman has been the general manager of the Yankees for damn near over 15 plus years, mm-hmm. we know that some of those decisions, a la the Gary Sheffield versus Vladimir Guerrero.
Right.
Joe Torre and the Yankees wanted Vlad in his prime, and he was destined to go to New York.
Right.
George Steinbrenner said, hell no, I want Gary Sheffield. Mm. So who do you think the Yankees end up getting? They end up getting Sheffield.
Sure.
And then when the Yankees would not win World Series, George Steinbrenner, who I guess is really the originator of this, are doing what the Cubs are doing. You're spending so much money here, so much money there. This move, you spent $85 million bringing Carl Pavano, and that idiot didn't pitch
that was
20
crazy.
Games in them years with New York.
It was literally off of, 16 games in Florida that he got signed to that deal.
Yeah, and he was crap the entire time he was in New York.
Terrible.
Couldn't stay healthy, and he was awful.
Yeah.
But that was a move. That was a George Steinbrenner move. So then as George got later into his life, he decided, you know what, I'm done. Let me turn it over to my sons. Let them turn it over to Brian. Mm. And they won a World Series, but I think George had passed away by the time that happened. Now, Jerry Jones is in the same boat.
Yeah.
You have not won a Super Bowl in almost 23 years.
Yeah.
It's been 1996 was the last time you won a Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
So what is it?
America's
06,
team.
16, and this is what? This is what, 19?
Yeah.
So 23 years.
Yeah.
Give it up, bro.
Right.
Give it up. I'm not saying that you thinking that Tony Romo was the truth. I thought he was the truth too.
Yeah.
Tony Romo gave you some really good years. You guys got screwed out of that playoff game against Green Bay.
Right.
You know, he flubbed the kids against Seattle. You had some bad breaks.
Right.
Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. Y'all got the number 1 seed, even though you lost to Green Bay again. But you haven't seen the ship, bro.
Right.
And for whatever reason, Jerry Jones, I feel like, is scared to go through the process of finding a new head coach.
Right. I think,
and just keeps the guy he's got.
You know what it also is, and I talked about it last week, was remember when they brought in Parcells and they're like, this will never work, but unless he gives the keys up to Parcells. And he said, well, I'm ready to give the keys up to Parcells because I know he can do what I know he knows what he can, what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Well, it turns out that the Parcells sucked for the Cowboys.
Yeah, he did.
And by the way, Parcells came out later and said, no, he never handed me the keys. In fact, it was a daily struggle against Jerry Jones. So what happens is it's not necessarily who is going to be my coach. It's going to be who is going to have the tolerance to deal with my shit and still be the head coach of this football team. Jason Garrett does a very good job of that. I can tell you that because trust me, a lot of head coaches with, magnanimous sort of owners like Jerry Jones, after that Green Bay game, whether they flubbed the call and Des caught it or not, a lot of owners and a lot of coaches probably would have been like, maybe we should separate from here. Yeah. Maybe this isn't the best thing for both of us. Yeah. And now we're here damn near 4 years later now. And we're talking about the same guy here without much results to show for it. And when you have an owner who basically says before the season, every single season, the Super Bowl or bust, and you don't even get yourself to the playoffs, I don't know what else we have to do, what type of rock bottom you have to hit to realize, you know what, I have a problem. We've got to figure this out.
Jerry Jones has to understand that if Dallas wins a ring, guess what? You still get one too. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like you don't have to you don't have to run
the whole
shit.
And why do you have to have your son run it too? Like, again, we talk about this nepotism in football and in sports ownership in general, where it's like I'm the owner's son, so now I'm the VP of operations. What do you know about football, Stephen Jones?
Right.
You haven't proven a thing in terms of football operations, rather. So why are you on this totem pole and high up in ranking or something like that? Like, dude, Jerry Jones has, and that's another thing. When you're a billionaire like that, you don't really have a lot of guys around you that are willing to say no.
Right.
Like usually,
there's definitely a lot of
yes men around you that are saying, no, Jerry, you're right. Fuck Jason Garrett. It's all his fault. You're doing a great job. You've done a great job. You and Steven are doing amazing. Come back in. Let's have supper. Like that's the type of guy he has around him. And when you have a type of guy like that around you, it usually tends to mean that you're living in this sort of shell. And he's living in this shell where he thinks that, oh, I'm Jerry Jones and I can do this forever. And it's like, yeah, you can do this forever, dude, but you're going to be living in this football hell forever if you want to keep doing this.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Something's got to change. And with, and here's the thing, too. Like, I keep comparing Dallas to the Yankees, but even when George gave his team to his sons, at that point now it's, okay, Brian, we'll write the checks, and we trust in you and our team president and Randy Levine that you guys can run this team that we don't. Like, because think about it, Hank Steinbrenner, the only thing Hank has ever really said is how much the Red Sox blow and he can't stand it.
Yeah.
He's done pretty much, look, I get my cut from the Yankees. Hal's smarter than I am. He runs the team. He owns the team per se. Brian runs it. This could be the same situation here. Jerry, you're the owner. We know this.
Right.
Why don't you go ahead and let Steven do what he's supposed to do with the, with
fine, run the numbers.
The operations.
Sure,
that's
run the
not
operations.
called football.
Right.
The numbers, right.
Yeah.
The paycheck, the numbers.
Sure.
But as far as talent is concerned,
right,
get you an evaluator.
Right.
As far as a GM is concerned, there's a lot of NFL players out and GMs out there that are ready to take a turn.
Yeah.
You guys still get a ring if you win. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
But that's an ego thing.
Remember when Arthur Blank was a pain in the ass owner?
Oh, yeah.
And then next thing you know, he hires I think it was Thomas Dimitroff.
Uh-huh.
And next thing you know, you never hear Arthur Blank's name again. And he's not in the news anymore. And a lot of it has to do with Thomas Dimitroff coming in and him saying, here, Thomas, this is all you. And sure, they didn't win that Super Bowl, but they have a Super Bowl appearance to show for it and some really good teams to show for it, too, since Dimitroff has been there.
Right.
So, there's been examples of it before where it's like, hey, I know this isn't the most comfortable thing for you, and I know you're not exactly ecstatic about giving up the keys here, but it's time. And until Jerry does that, we're going to be seeing mediocre teams. And by the way, I wouldn't. I said when you said $40 million for Dak, and I said which could happen. I'm thinking it may not even happen with the Cowboys. Who knows how this offseason shakes out? Who knows what happens if Philip Rivers says fuck it and retires?
True.
Who knows what's going to happen in New Orleans? Like, let's say New Orleans wins the Super Bowl. What does Breeze have left?
True.
He basically had a farewell tour this year. Just go ahead and retire, dude. There's no sense in doing anything else. So I'm not making any predictions and saying Dak is going to go somewhere in specific. I'm saying we've seen crazier things happen before where teams were like not in the running one week and the next week they sign a guy.
Like, look at it like this. How comfortable are the Denver Broncos in Drew Lock?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And with John Elway's propensity to trade and do crazy shit with his quarterback, you never know what they're already talking about how to get out of that Von Miller deal. So you never know what they'll do. They could manufacture some cap space if they want to. So
wait a minute, how much is Von Miller worth?
Von Miller, he's not in Khalil Mack territory. So if you were okay with Khalil Mack, you would definitely be okay with Von Miller. I want to say, I'll look it up for shits and gigs. I want to say, I think it's somewhere around 24, 25. It's quarterback money. It's definite quarterback money.
I don't know. We got to see how much Shaq Barrett's – he wants to stay in Tampa, thank
God.
God.
And I was going to say, you better keep him there, too, because, I mean, you guys are the one who gave him a chance in the first place.
Well, yeah, and he already said he wants to stay, and I don't see the Bucs letting him go, and Bruce Arians is already – here's what's funny about Bruce Arians, dude.
It's $17.5 million.
17.5? All right.
And another 3 bonus, so $20 million. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Right. Here's what's funny about Bruce Arians. When they talk about Shaq Barrett, he'll say, 100% he's coming back. When they talk about Jameis, we'll evaluate that
see what
at the
happens.
end of the year.
Yeah, sure.
And I was talking to you about this at the end of before we came on the air. Jameis is asking for $30 million. The franchise tag is going to be around 23, 24. He don't want the franchise tag. He wants the big money.
Right.
Here's what I think is going to end up happening in Tampa. Okay, this is crazy, but this is what I think is going to happen. What I think is going to happen is, I think that the Bucs are going to challenge Jameis in 2 ways. I think they're going to. Some tell me they're going to franchise tag him. He's going to accept it. B, I think they bring in Andy Dalton from Cincinnati.
Oh, wow.
Because I think that Bruce wants a veteran quarterback behind Jameis. And the minute he notices the wheels fall off and we can't change this guy, Andy's coming in.
You would be buying Andy Dalton out, though, right? Because that contract, you can't keep both of them. You couldn't keep both of them with Dalton's contract, so he would have to get cut from.
Isn't he?
Yeah, Isn't
he? Or what you call it? Isn't he a free agent? After
I want to
this
say,
year?
you know what? You might be right about that. Actually,
if he's a free agent after this year,
that makes a lot of sense. If he is, for sure.
You feel what I'm saying?
No, you're right. You're right.
Then, if you're further correct with what you said, as far as
Vaughn,
no,
yeah. So he's okay. He's got one year left on his deal, $17.5 million next year.
Hold on a second. Let me respond to this.
And he's unrestricted after that. And then, yeah, guys, so, again, do us a huge favor, mackandblack.com.
Hold on, because I'm kind of at war with some Bucs fans right now. Because what happened was I'm getting sick and tired of every time I look up. Let me tell you about Jameis and his interceptions. Let me tell you about Jameis and his picks. I'm done with Jameis because he throws too many picks. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, you know what? I'm done with y'all. I'm like, all of the groups that I'm in are about Jameis and his interceptions and blah, 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 and this and that. And that. With all the holes we've had on our team, it's all about Jameis. And then here comes Cedric. He's like, you always talk about the haters. You're focused. I'm talking about y'all shutting the hell up for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Why don't we watch the game, see what we do, see what we go into next year? Because if you're right about there's going to be no quarterback taken outside of Joe Burrow to the second round, then my boy that I think might be, in my personal opinion, the best quarterback coming out, Justin Herbert, will still be there. And then you could groom Herbert.
Sure.
So then, let's say if Jameis blows. Okay, Jameis blows. You don't have to bring him back. You got Andy Dalton sitting behind. You got the heir apparent and Justin Herbert behind him. Mm-hmm. It's a win-win situation for Tampa.
Right.
But it all starts with what they're going to do with Jameis Winston. Because I don't think they're going to give him a 5-year, $150 million contract, which will venture out to the $30 million he's asking for. Right. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, and
I just don't see it happening.
I floated this to you after that, too, because I was thinking, well, okay, if the franchise tag goes up a little bit, which it does every single year, it'll probably go up to, what, like 25, maybe 26, 27 million. And if you're Jameis and you're saying, well, I want 30, okay, well, if you're the Bucs, you have decent space, fine. Here's a 1-year, $31 million deal. It's going to be really good for you. You're going to cash that $31 million, and a lot of that's going to be guaranteed.
And some of it's going to be
some of it's going to be incentive.
Bonus.
Yeah, signing bonus, and some of it's going to be incentivized. Some of it's not going to be, but you're going to get paid, and you're also going to get a chance to prove it, right? Because that's the huge thing about Jameis this year. We talked about this from game one. This is like an audition for Jameis for the rest of the league as well. This was like, hey, how can Jameis do this year with a head coach that's competent and has some sort of finger on the pulse of the game? The answer is a little bit more inconclusive than we even thought. Mm-hmm. It's confusing when you mention a guy who can throw 50 touchdowns, or is it? I'm sorry, 30 to. 30 plus touchdowns, 30 plus interceptions, and 5,000
yards.
5,000
yards away from 5,000.
Those things shouldn't be in the same sentence, right? Like they shouldn't be in the same sentence when it comes to a quarterback. No. You shouldn't be that high, but also that low.
Yep.
And we heard this conversation so much with Brett Favre. We heard this conversation so much with him, where it was like, is it worth it? He's a gunslinger, but is it? And trust me, as a Bears fan, even when they're because Brett Favre did a lot of beating up on the Bears throughout his career. The question a lot of times was, always about Brett Favre and never about the team,
right?
And how the team was doing, right? Because it was such an easy target to say, well, Brett's over there and da-da-da. But when you got Amon Green and
Dorsey Levin
and
Edgar Bennett
and Antonio Freeman is your best wide receiver, you're in trouble, right? So
Bubba Franks
and you see all of these guys that we're naming that Brett Favre made a career out of, and next thing you know, you're also saying in the same breath that he is a legend with the Packers, that the Packers would, even with the ups and downs that he's had with the Packers over the years, him going to the Vikings and the Jets and everything like that, they still love him and they still consider him a Packer legend, right? So you have a chance as a Bucs fan to look at the sample size of what happened with the Packers and say, we don't have to get caught up in that. We don't have to get caught up in this conversation of, let's find the easy target. Okay, the easy target's Jameis. All he does is throw interceptions. Well, he's also thrown 30 touchdowns and 5,000 yards this year. So, it gets easy to say something about somebody like Jameis or the quarterback in specific, but once you start to talk to dudes about the game plan, the play calling, the offensive line, the weaponry, the defense, and how well we're able to do with the defense on the field, the conversation gets muddled a little bit.
I'm being told that the franchise tag will cost $23.7 to $24.5 million, depending on the salary cap growth. And then Cedric
what was the second one? 23 to what?
23.7 to 24.5.
24.5, okay.
And then Cedric says the one thing Brett never did was stare down Antonio Freeman. Dude, Brett
what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He stared down Greg Jennings.
League ever in interceptions. What are you talking about?
And towards the end of his career, Greg Jennings got ran out of town because all he was doing, every single quarterback, it was Aaron Rodgers too, was staring at Greg Jennings.
Thank you, Mac. That's why I said, Cedric, listen, you might learn something, dude.
No. Okay.
Here's what drives me nuts, because this is what Bucs fans are doing. This is what they're doing. I saw this meme the other day, and it really pissed me off, because what it's doing is, for the guys that can't stand Jameis Winston, they'll bring up the memes and go, well, Aaron Rodgers has only thrown like 20 interceptions in the last 6 seasons.
Yeah.
Wow, in one season, this man's thrown 28. Mm-hmm. But when you put up memes or actual stats that in the first 5 seasons of Peyton Manning's Hall of Fame career,
right? Oh, you're getting ahead of yourself.
Through as many. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that Jameis Winston is the next Peyton Manning. I'm not saying that.
No.
What I'm saying is someone who was a Hall of Famer in Peyton had the same woes as Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
When it came to turning the ball over.
Yeah.
Indianapolis didn't give up on Peyton Manning.
Right.
They said, okay, hold on, we see something. But these crybaby Bucs fans, oh my God, we haven't been in the playoffs for 12 years. Get rid of this guy. We need somebody. Dude, is it only Jameis' fault we ain't been in the playoffs for 5 years?
That's tough.
Do we not have a formidable running game?
Right.
Ronald Jones only gets the ball 12 goddamn times.
Yeah.
How do we win on that?
Yeah.
We don't.
No.
That's my point. When the guy who leads the league in interceptions comes up and said, yeah, I was a lot like Jameis Winston, you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
That's out the Hall of Famer's mouth.
Right.
But you can't tell that to Winston haters because then they'll be like, well, the Winston Knights or whatever they call us because they sound like idiots when they do it. Every time it's if the stats don't fit their narrative, it's a reach.
Right.
You can't have it both ways.
Right.
You can't have proof that Peyton struggled as much as Jameis and say, oh, that's a reach. But then you see the Aaron Rodgers numbers, you say, see, that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
The game don't work both ways.
Yeah, and if you're going to use numbers, it works both ways. And again, the conversation about quarterbacks in specific is a very sensitive conversation to have.
Easily.
You have to have it's like one of those conversations where I have to know the person that I'm speaking with has a baseline understanding of what a quarterback is and what the conversation is about. I'm not sitting when we're talking about competent quarterbacks in the league. By the way, there's not a ton of them.
No.
Okay, let's just put it that way. There's only around maybe 15 teams in the league who are like, we love our quarterback. The other half are like, we're working with what we got. We drafted this guy, and we're going to see how shit works out, right? So you're never going to have a perfect quarterback. So when you have a quarterback that's showing you this much potential, but also showing you that there's a lot of struggles along the way, what you should be probably saying is like, man, this guy's got a lot of work to do, but man, he's already doing what we really want him to do when it comes to passing the ball down the field. Now, decision-making, when we're having this conversation as a quarterback about a quarterback with somebody, the first thing that I mentioned to them is, okay, do you think every interception is a quarterback's fault? And
no.
The smart ones will say no, absolutely not, right? They'll say no, that there's plenty. And then I want to take it even further. Let me take it even a step further. How many factors can there be in somebody throwing an interception? Sometimes it could be your own teammate fucking up, right?
Thank you, man.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
Sometimes it
Please
can be.
And let everybody that's listening, he's not a Bucs fan.
No, I'm just saying.
So this is coming. This is something that I tried to preach that my own fan base is too stupid to listen to.
Right.
But here's a guy who's not even a Bucs fan. So keep on.
Take it from somebody who watched Jay Cutler for a long time too. But let me just tell you,
because Cedric just said the Winston lovers don't hold him accountable. That's not true. The Winston haters will only look at the interception. I'll give you a prime example. How about that Colts game? Jameis didn't look good for a lot of that Colts game. For whatever reason, he can't see linebackers. It pisses me off.
Yeah, he does.
He got duped by Darius Leonard twice.
Yeah.
But what the Winston haters will never talk about is when he drove him down the field to win the freaking game.
Right.
All they'll say is, oh, he threw 5 interceptions or 4 interceptions. They sound like idiots. How about that game against Seattle when he was damn near flawless?
Right.
What do the Jameis haters talk about? Oh, he fumbled the football, and that cost us the game. A, no, it didn't. B, it wasn't his fault. If Donovan Smith knew how to block somebody and block Jadeveon Clowney to where he didn't run to his own damn quarterback, that wouldn't have happened.
That's even more important to my conversation when you break it down even further. Okay, well, sometimes you throw an interception because the defense is just that good, right? The defense, man, the defender's good. He made a good read on the ball. Sometimes it's tipped. Sometimes your own player made a bad play.
Right. Sometimes you got O.J. Howard who's fumbling the ball, and the linebacker's like, okay, takes it off his back.
Yeah, that was out of The Simpsons.
Fault, though, right?
That was out of The Simpsons.
Winston's fault, though, right?
But what I'm saying is, every single factor that you break down even further. Okay, now we've established that you don't even need the defense to be a really good defense to intercept you, right? Sometimes you can have a receiver slip. He runs the wrong route. But also sometimes
he gives up on a route.
He gives up on a route or runs
Perryman
or
against Tennessee.
Yeah, doesn't continue running, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Then you'll have, poor protection. Then you have poor play calling. And then you have, when you're a team that has a bad defense, sometimes you have to throw the ball a lot, right? And when you throw the ball more, you're going to throw more interceptions, right? Trust me, as a Bears fan who went through a lot of Jay Cutler, what I will say to you is that when Jay Cutler's on your team, you don't want him, right?
Fact.
But then when Jay Cutler left our team, trust me, we want Jay Cutler back, right? Because you never knew what you had. And I think I don't want to say this I'm not trying to attack Tampa Bay in this way, but Tampa Bay's never had a quarterback that you could hang your hat on,
nope.
right? Even when Brad Johnson was Brad Johnson, right? We knew what he was. He was a game manager and a guy that did a good job of not fucking up the game for you, right? The Buccaneers have never had a franchise quarterback, so they don't really ever know what it looks like. Remember when Josh Freeman showed up and he was doing average NFL shit, and everyone was like, "This is our guy."
I was one of them.
I'm saying this is what happens when you're a fan of a team and you don't know what a good quarterback looks like. I.e., the Bears. When they traded for Cutler, I was through the roof because I was like, "Oh my god, we finally got a quarterback and a guy who could actually throw the ball." Like, oh my god. And when you have this guy, when he looks good, he looked really good. And trust me, that whole Jay Cutler thing didn't work out, but that wasn't Jay Cutler's fault now. You understand that there was a lot of inefficiencies, a lot of downsides to the team as a whole that really ruined Jay Cutler for us. And Jay Cutler, he threw a lot of interceptions, but trust me, Jay Cutler also put us in a lot of positions we didn't deserve to be in because he was that good. And what I'm trying to get at essentially is that every single fan at the end of the season evaluates their team. But the one position that you never it's almost the same conversation every single time is quarterback, right? And the conversation always is like, is he a franchise guy? Is he our franchise guy? Mm-hmm. And every single year, some teams find out they have a franchise guy, and some teams find out they don't, right? And this year, I think both of our teams found out we don't know what we have in our quarterback, but we don't have a franchise quarterback right now. So when you have a guy like Bruce Arians saying, I'm evaluating, what he's really saying is, I think Jameis is good enough to be on this team. What I'm telling you is that we now have to understand. When you go into the offseason, it's the same mentality, from player 0 to player 53 or whatever it's going to be in the offseason. You're bringing in guys who are going to make you better next year. Mm-hmm. So with your mentality, again, with the whole Andy Dalton plan, I know Andy Dalton is under contract next year, but I get what you're saying. You go out and get a veteran quarterback who you know can start if things don't work out with Jameis. You also go out and draft yourself a quarterback. Why not? There's teams keep 3 all the time, or you can figure a way out with that. What I'm saying is that it's not always a fix-it solution. It's not always just, okay, get rid of Jameis, bring in this guy. If I heard you mention that some people were talking about bringing in Phillip Rivers. Good luck. Take Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, Phillip Rivers wouldn't put up half of the numbers that Jameis Winston did this year. I guarantee you he would have been in loads of trouble. And don't get me wrong, Jameis isn't mobile or as he's not a mobile quarterback per se. But this guy was running for his life a lot of the season. And we talked about it. What happens when you run for your life for most of the season? You start seeing ghosts even when they're not there. Mm-hmm. So when you're Jameis, and even from...
Which could be a part of that decision-making process.
Absolutely. When you feel like you're under pressure and you have to make a decision quicker, I feel like that is a giant factor in whether or not you're going to have a successful throw or a successful drive out of that. So, with Jameis, dude, what I would venture to ask to Bucs fans who don't want Jameis is, give me your plan. Give me your plan, right? Let's see what your plan is. Okay, it's very easy for them to respond, right? Okay. We let go of Jameis, and then we just draft the second best quarterback available. Okay, great. Now,
hey, let me do you one better too.
Sure.
We're going to go get Teddy Bridgewater.
Right. Okay. You know what? That's even better. You're right.
We're going to get Teddy Bridgewater.
So okay, fine.
Because, he went 4-0 against Saints. Like the Saints don't have a good defense.
No, totally.
While Drew was out.
So here's what I would say to them. Okay, now you're going to make the case for me that Teddy Bridgewater is better than Jameis Winston. Go right ahead.
Right.
And what they're going to start to say is, well, he has the potential to do because that's what quarterback play is, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have anything to back up your argument, it's this guy has a potential. All you need, he just needs an opportunity. He just needs the shot, right? Okay. But you're going to make a case for me now that Jameis Winston is worse on the football field than Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think you can make that argument. No. If anything, what you're doing is making a lateral move. You're not making a move up or a move down. You're just basically saying, I'm going to take one guy in this tier and I'm going to replace him with another guy in this tier. Well, why not just keep the guy that you have for the last 4 years? Again, fine, let's go to the draft a guy scenario. Well, let's just, we're going to have a first-round pick, so we'll just draft the second best guy available. Who cares?
So we'll get Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert, fine, we'll get Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, Justin Herbert is going to have come in as a rookie now. You're not going to have, okay, fine, do you want him to play from game one? Well, no, not really. I don't want him to play from game one because that might be too dangerous. We might, ruin his development. Oh, okay, well, what are you going to do then? You're going to go bring a quarterback in? Yeah, we'll go get a veteran. Okay, we're not going to say Bridgewater. Who are you going to bring in? Maybe we'll convince Tannehill to come. Okay. You understand what I'm getting at with this?
Yeah, I do.
That there's a million things that you can say, but at the end of the day, whenever you're coming back to the last part of that conversation is this guy better than what I had? And there's not a lot of cases where you're going to say, yes, this guy's 100% better than what we had. Ryan Tannehill is having a great season in Tennessee. Ask Jacksonville how well the whole Nick Foles thing's worked out for them.
Thank you.
The grass is always greener on the other side, guys. Always. But trust me, when you think that the grass is greener on the other side and you get there and there's no grass at all, you are left with your pants down and you look even worse and you're even in a worse position as a franchise.
And think about that Nick Foles move more or less cost Tom Coughlin his job.
It did, absolutely. And the worst part about it is you don't even know what you have in Gardner Minshew now because it's like, okay, it's week 17 now, so the season's over. You're going to go into the offseason with a 6th-round quarterback who played 10-ish games and had a pretty damn good season for a 6th-round rookie. But is he a franchise quarterback? No. So, again, it's about improvement. And if you can't make a valid argument that somebody is better, like, okay, for the Bears, right? I hear a lot of Bears fans talking about let's option Trubisky to keep him for one more year, but let's bring in a veteran like, oh my God, Teddy Bridgewater. Oh my God, like Tannehill. Oh my God, like this guy. Oh my God, like that guy. My question to them always is, okay, what's your plan with Trubisky then? Well, the plan is for him to sit and learn and maybe he'll be better one day. Okay, but you only have one more year left of him after this. So, or technically, if you're going to exercise his 5th-year option. You're never really in a better position. You're always finding yourself either making lateral moves or backwards moves. The teams that go forward with quarterbacks are teams like, let's say, for example, Baltimore. They did well with Joe Flacco. They went out. They didn't have to draft Lamar. Remember, like people were kind of wondering why they drafted Lamar. Like they could have drafted, but why did you draft him? He's not going to play this year and da-da-da-da. Next thing you know, Joe Flacco sucks. You realize we knew Joe Flacco sucked, but they were hoping he didn't suck. And that goes to show how it's hard to find a quarterback because Joe Flacco sucked, but they were so sure he was going to keep his job. Next thing you know, this kid Lamar comes onto the scene. He sits a half a year and he learns for the other half of the year. And now the next year he's the MVP. You don't find yourself in that situation overnight. There was a lot of planning going into that whole Flacco, Lamar Jackson thing. And yeah, a lot of it has to do with you striking gold on a player like Lamar Jackson. There's not 3 or 4 Lamar Jacksons in every draft.
Right.
So again, you're never going to be in the ideal position. So at the end of the conversation, what I want to hear from you as a football fan is, how is our team better for this? And if our team isn't significantly better for it, what the fuck are we talking about then?
Cedric said a couple things. First, he says, obvious that all interceptions aren't a QB's fault, but a QB's decision-making is that other players' fault. Well, Bruce Arians came out first off, when Jameis was at 18 interceptions weeks ago, he said of those 18 interceptions, I blame Jameis for 10 of 11 of those.
Okay.
Where was the lie? Bucks fans like, oh, there he goes again, trying to
yeah, it's always going to be, yeah.
Well, where was the lie? In that game against Tennessee, Chris Godwin slipped, and that was an interception. Right. In the last interception to Kenny Vaccaro, Brashard Perryman quit on the route.
Yeah, he just stopped running.
He just stopped running.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, there's Jameis again, just throwing interceptions left and right. Dude, there's more into it than that. That's the point we're trying to get. Or when I talked about the OJ one where he throws the ball right now, O.J. Howard is responsible for at least 4 of Jameis's interceptions because he either dropped the pass, can't handle a pass, went through his hands pass.
Right.
This man can catch foul balls at a Rays game, can't catch a football 5 yards from him. Give me a break.
You know,
and then he said the Sam Darnold syndrome we was talking about goes. The Jets' offensive line sucks.
Right, and nobody's saying, and nobody in New York is saying Sam Darnold is garbage. Throw him away.
No,
everybody's saying, hey, we know the offensive line sucks. We know he's seeing ghosts, and therefore we know he's not a bad quarterback. Again, when you're saying, oh, I know that not every interception is his fault, but it's the quarterback's decision making. Well, okay, let me break that down for you even more, my man. If you're saying that his decision making is the catalyst in this, well, how many factors go into decision making? Well, the play call has a lot to do with decision making, right?
Oh, by the way, Byron Leftwich, first year as official play caller.
Yeah.
Let me, because I've said that 5 million times, but nobody wants to listen.
And then on top of that, when you don't have a running game that you can rely on, then your play calling is affected by that, right? And when you're down a lot, and trust me, I know this as a Bears fan, previous Bears fan, it's hard to evaluate a quarterback when you're down 21 points every single, by the second quarter. And then you're having to literally throw the ball 40 times every single game. When you throw the ball 40 times, I don't care who you are, you're in a high-risk territory. And what happens is when you're saying, okay, decision-making is the reason why Jameis is in a position, what you're also saying is, oh, so that's something we can fix. That's something that we can coach better on, that we can do better play calling wise. Because what you're telling me essentially is that there's nothing wrong with Jameis, that Jameis isn't a bad quarterback, but simply that his decision making isn't where it's supposed to be. And quite frankly, that's what the coaching staff is there for, to make sure that this guy is competent enough to make the throws that he's supposed to make and make the reads that he's supposed to make. So again, man, you get into slippery territory when you start trying to split hairs about, well, I don't like that he throws a lot of interceptions, but I also understand that there's a lot of factors. But I also say, no, it can't be both things, bro. Either you understand that interceptions are a part of this thing, or you just basically are going to be one of those guys that thinks that interception is the only thing that you should be looking at as a quarterback. Trust me, dude, I don't want my quarterback to throw interceptions. Nobody does.
No.
They don't, and trust me, Jameis isn't aiming to throw interceptions, right? So the whole point of this is that when you see the type of potential that Jameis Winston has, and then you go into the offseason and you're looking at the quarterback position, are you going to say there's a ton of guys in the offseason that we can get that are better than Jameis? I don't think you can. Who I would love for this gentleman to give me a game plan. What do you don't want Jameis. I get it. Jameis is terrible. What is your game plan? Who are you bringing in? What type of game plan are you going to bring in next year? Let's use WAR. Let's use win above replacement as a perfect example for this one. How many wins above replacement is X player going to bring me other than Jameis? Is there anyone on the free agent list or anyone in the draft that's going to make you immediately better next year? I will challenge my man here to give me 1 or 2 examples of quarterbacks that you can bring in from day one that are going to be better than Jameis Winston.
We'll see if he answers. And then he said, well, numbers-wise, Bucks have the number 6 ranked defense. First argument, how come y'all are second in the league in points answer? Can you answer that, Nick?
Wait, can you repeat the whole thing again for me?
He said, numbers-wise, the Bucks are the number 6 ranked defense.
Not scoring defense, though, right?
I don't know. I know we have the top 2 rushing defenses in the league.
Yeah, but scoring defense.
But I know that
what we're talking about is scoring defense. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and he said, "How come y'all are second in the league in points allowed?" Can I answer that?
Oh, I mean, so he's saying that you guys have given up the second least amount of points in the league? I don't think that's right.
He said we're second in the league in points allowed.
Meaning that you give up the second most or you give up the second least. If you're second, Yeah, I was going to say, you guys give up 28 points a game, my man. You're not a top 6 defense.
No.
Like, dude, you're not. I don't know what you're talking
see
about
the-
with that.
do you see my frustration?
I don't know what you're talking about with top 6 defense.
Thank you. Do you see
give
my
up
frustration?
your average this year is 28 points a game, my man. Your defense is not in the top 3 or top 6 or whatever.
I mean,
you
the
can
defense
be
has played
you can
better
be
as of
you can
late.
be a top 3 or 4 rushing defense or top 3 or 4 passing defense. That doesn't mean a thing at the end of the day if you're giving up 28 points a game.
You
dude.
know why he made that comment though, right? Because what he's trying to say is Jameis Winston's interceptions are leading to the Buccaneers defense giving up points.
Oh,
That's why you would say something stupid
I
like
see.
that.
Okay, I mean,
however,
I don't know how you can.
However, once again, we're just gonna sit here and ignore certain things. How about in the Rams game? The only interception that Jameis Winston threw in that Rams game was a pick 6 to Marcus Peters.
Mm-hmm.
They gave up 40. They gave up 40 points in that game. So technically, the defense gave up 34 points in that game.
Yeah.
Has
Still
nothing
terrible.
to do. It's awful.
Yeah.
But you can't tell that to these guys that are all of a sudden have jumped off the Jameis Winston
Yeah, no,
bandwagon because he had one game. Because most people gave up on him after that Carolina game.
Right.
Which I don't blame him because he looked bad in that game. But at the same time, the difference between me as a Bucs fan and a lot of other people as a Bucs fan is, do I get upset when Jameis turns the ball over? Of course I do. I'm supposed to. But when I look at the team as a whole, when we can't run the ball, when Mike Evans all of a sudden can't get open, when Brashard Perriman drops wide open passes, when Cameron Brate in the game on Saturday dropped a wide open pass right on the money from Jameis Winston, I can't keep saying the reason why we lose all these games is his fault.
Yeah.
You just can't. But Bucs fans think that the only reason why we're losing games is because the man throws 4 interceptions in the game. And it's not it.
And the argument that, Jameis keeps giving the ball away, so that's why the defense is bad. Was that the same argument you guys had last year when the defense was the second worst defense as far as points is concerned? Or how about the year before when it seemed like every single game the Bucs were down 21 by the second quarter? You cannot use that as an example of, this quarterback. Like, dude, you have to understand that when your team is giving up that many points, that means that I have to change my game plan. Now, if you're saying, let's say there is an example of Jameis throwing an interception and the defense has to get on the field again and they suck and then they give up a touchdown.
He said the second most.
Second most, yeah.
How come you guys are giving up this? How come we are giving up the second most points in the league?
That's what we're.
Because our defense sucks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
our secondary has been bad
when you have
the
no
majority of the
quarterbacks.
year. Cedric, you're a Bucs fan like I am. Dude, are you watching the games like I are? Like most of us are. Are you not? Like, come on, man. Stop trying to insult me like this. Like, for example, I'll give you a prime example.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time, everyone and this is another thing I hate. I hate when people are like, well, look what Patrick Mahomes is doing. Look what blah 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 is doing. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the difference between these guys.
Oh my God.
Patrick Mahomes has had a formidable run game and steady coaching.
Mm-hmm. And his coach's game plan is always a fucking plus. There's never been one game where Patrick Mahomes is not prepared.
If I asked 10 random football fans who would you want game planning for you, Andy Reid or Dirk Cutter, I am guaranteeing you at least 10 of them are going to say Andy Reid.
I'm going to make sure that 100% say Andy Reid.
You feel
in that
what I'm
situation.
saying?
Uh-huh.
Now, the running game, right?
Yeah.
The last time the Bucs had a winning record was in 2015. No, we drafted Jameis in, what is this, 19? So 2004. It was 2015.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what Doug Martin did in 2015?
He led the league in rushing, did he not?
Second in the league in rushing.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So when the Bucs had the second leading rusher, where Jameis Winston didn't have to throw the ball for 5,000 yards,
Right,
and had the potential of throwing 30 picks,
yeah,
was our only last winning record.
Yeah.
So when a team has a formidable run game
mm-hmm.
with a decent defense and a respectable head coaching staff,
Yeah.
we can win games. This is the first year we've had the respectable coaching staff. We're going to get the run game fixed to where Jameis doesn't have to throw the ball 600 times to get us in the game.
Yeah.
This isn't rocket science, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
It's not.
And again,
people just want to complain about Jameis so they can be heard, and it is nonsense.
And let's hear again, Cedric. Cedric's his name, right?
Yep.
Cedric, my man, do us a favor. Give us your game plan. Who's your guy? Who's the guy that you're going to say 100%? I want this guy. He's going to be better than Jameis. Let's go to an ad break really quick, and we'll resume on that one. And by the way, guys, we're watching the opening minutes here of the Clemson and Ohio State game. Looks like something just went into challenge. I think it was a catch for Ohio State. So yeah, Ohio State is first and goal right now. 13 minutes left in the first quarter. So yeah, it just started. So we'll give you updates here as we go along. But again, guys, you guys have heard about intrinsic marketing before, and I just want to tell you a little bit more about them again, guys. If you have an idea that you want to grow, intrinsic marketing is the option for you guys. Website hosting and design, brand development, and everything that you need to get your business off the ground. Just contact Intrinsic Marketing. It is a one-stop shop. So again, intrinsic.chicago.com is the website. INTRINSIC Chicago.com. And again, we appreciate Intrinsic Marketing. And also do us a huge favor, guys, as always, go to mackandblack.com and share out our videos on Facebook, share out the feed, and again, mackandblack.com. You can look at all of our previous episodes, and this episode will be up there soon enough here. So check us out there. And again, Spotify. We're on Spotify. So
this was put on my page by Cedric. But how could the Buccaneers consider making Winston their long-term quarterback? This year, Tampa Bay was 6th in defensive DVOA and 8th in yards allowed per play. Their defense was legitimately good, but they allowed more points than 29 NFL teams because Winston's six pick sixes gave opposing teams 42 free points, and his 33 total turnovers gave opposing teams the second-best starting field position of any team's opponents. Let's be clear about that. The Buccaneers have a top 10 defense, and Winston's turnovers made the team look like one of the 3 worst defenses in the league. So his turnovers are the reason why this team won't have a winning record this year.
So here's what I'll say about that. If you're saying that Jameis was so bad that he made this defense that you're saying is a good defense give up the second most amount of points in the league right now, I'm sorry, my man. I don't buy into that, dude.
Thank you.
I have to say that
I need to see more proof. I don't want to see a stupid ass screenshot on my Facebook.
I do hear those. But when you're telling me that your defense is a top 10 defense, you're lying to yourself, my man. Like, that's not a top 10 defense. What you've got on what you just listed are advanced metrics that help your specific argument here. Not taking into context that, again, a quarterback giving up turnovers is a big issue. But I will also tell you this, that the Bears defense this year has had to deal with turnovers and a lot of inept play. But really, at the end of the day, the defense has showed itself to be actually not as good as we thought it was. So what happens is when you think your defense is so good, you think everything is on the quarterback. And when in reality, when you had a reality check as a Bears fan this year, you started to realize that this Bears defense, yeah, they were banged up a lot, but they weren't as good as we thought they were. And sometimes what happens is when you read stats like that, you start to convince yourself that a quarterback took what you are claiming to be a top 10 defense and made them a bottom 2 defense.
Do you know that Jameis Winston between the weeks 2 and week 6, I think they turned the ball over. As a matter of fact, hold on, let me pull up because I remember this because I stayed talking smack when this was going on. Let me see if I can pull up.
Because he had a really good, he had a good start.
There was a stretch when he didn't turn the ball over at all. Let's see if I can find Tampa's schedule. It was, okay. it was between weeks 2 and 6. In week 2, it was against Carolina when they beat him. He didn't turn the ball over. That was the Thursday night game. That pretty much where Shaq Barrett had 4 sacks ended Cam Newton's season. The game against the Giants, I think he threw no picks in that game. That's the game where our second great defense. No, you know what? He did throw a pick in that game. 1 pick. Our great, second-ranked defense or 6th-ranked defense or 8th-ranked defense that we're talking about here gave up 32 points to Danny Dimes and the New York Giants in his first start. And Jameis's fault.
And those weren't on short fields either. I remember those. Those were long and sustained drives.
Thank you. And let's not talk about how Jameis Winston put the Buccaneers in position to win the game, but Matt Gay missed a kick. He's a rookie. I'll give him a pass. Then I just talked about the game against the Los Angeles Rams. The only interception in that game was a pick 6. Our defense still gave up 32. The same amount the week before against Daniel Jones, right?
Right.
Okay. Then against New Orleans, where we lost by 7, Jameis never turned the ball over.
Yeah.
And then it was the Carolina game. So you're going to sit here and tell me like you don't watch the games, like you're just going to put a screenshot like you and I have not watched games. If you honestly think that our defense was bad because of Jameis, then either you're playing Madden or we're not watching the same games. Yeah, I'm not saying that Jameis never put the Bucs in position, but what I'm saying is when I look at a game like against, I don't know, when he was damn near flawless against Atlanta, nobody complained. Yeah. When he was excellent against Jacksonville, nobody complained. When he brought the Bucs back against the Colts, nobody complained. Yeah. And when he tore up Detroit after he threw an interception, nobody complained.
I mean, here's the thing.
Dude. It's foolery.
I'm looking at what a lot of people would consider to be Jameis's worst game of the season. I'll just ask you: do you think the second Carolina game was his? Easily. So I'm looking at the play-by-play for this just to get a little bit more context on things, okay? So it looks like Jameis threw an interception first play of that game.
Yeah.
First play of that game.
It was
right?
going to Mike Evans, yeah.
The defense gives up a field goal. And that's very impressive by them.
Yep.
After that, though, you guys exchanged punts. Carolina scores a touchdown, so it has nothing to do. They gave up a touchdown. It has nothing to do with Jameis there.
Keep going.
And then punt, but then it looks like So Tampa Bay got a touchdown after that one. And then what happens is Jameis throws an interception. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't remember because I know this was the London game, so I don't remember if I was watching. But I think this was the interception that wasn't his fault. But he threw an interception after. So it was 10-7 at that point, and Jameis throws an interception, short field for Carolina. They score a touchdown.
Right.
So that goes to your point.
Was that McCaffrey who scored that one?
That was McCaffrey 25-yard pass from.
That's how you know I was watching the games. Keep going.
Okay. Yep. The next one was a fumble. I believe the next drive was a fumble by. This was a Jameis Winston fumble.
That was a sack fumble. I remember that one. Yep.
So again, there's a lot of questions about who you would consider to be at fault for a sack fumble. I don't necessarily always fault my quarterback for a sack fumble. There are times where you hold the ball too much, too long or whatever. But for the most part, I think we can say that that's on the offensive line, right? Like the offensive line, if you can't
protect them, which at that time was struggling. Yes,
right. So what I'm saying is, it seems like the trend that you're talking about is in this game. And what I'm starting to think is that you're taking the worst games of Jameis's career and sort of basing a lot of your opinion on that, and not using a lot of the. Again, there's a nuance to this conversation, and a lot of the nuance has to do with. That this guy is clearly a game breaker. He's not a game manager, and you're never going to have a guy who's going to he's let's just put it this way. Jameis Winston is never going to have a successful season where he only throws 10 interceptions.
Because he's not that kind of quarterback.
He's not that kind of guy.
No.
He's going to give away the ball a little bit. So what I would say is, okay, fine. If that's not your type of guy, all right, Cedric, you're entitled to your opinion, man. You don't need to have Jameis around. What's your game plan? Who you bringing in?
Still trying to figure out that
who you bringing in? Who you bringing in that's going to be better for you?
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna draft a guy. Okay, you're saying that you're gonna draft a guy who's gonna be immediately better than Jameis Winston.
We got to hit the reset button.
No. We're not gonna draft him. Now we're gonna get him for free agency. Okay, who are you gonna get? Teddy Bridgewater. All right, it's Teddy Bridgewater. You're gonna tell me Teddy Bridgewater is better than Jameis Winston? Well, yeah, he had those 4 games in New Orleans. All right, well then we don't really have much to talk about after that, right? Because that's why I want to get down to the crux of this conversation. Because your answer to that is gonna tell me a lot about whether or not I should even continue this conversation.
I'm with you
because
on
if
that.
you're telling me that we should bring in Phillip Rivers, or we should bring in Teddy Bridgewater, or we should bring in this guy, I'm not going to be on board with you, man. And a lot of times you're not going to hear
this. This is what some guy said like a couple weeks ago. He goes, "My goal in 2020 is that I'm going to stay out of a lot of these Bucks groups because he's like, I can't take some of these fans." Basically, what he was saying was he can't take the crying of fans because some fans act like they don't watch games and don't understand what's going on. I said, dude, I'm in the same boat because of all the Bucks fans that are on my page, I legit talk to like the same 4 fans that are level-headed because some Bucks fans will cry to the high heavens over nonsense, and it drives me insane. And it makes me like almost, I wouldn't say it would make me not want to watch the game, but like when we lose, like when Jameis threw that interception Saturday that pretty much ended the game, I was like, damn, I was mad that he threw that pick.
But now I got to deal with,
That was what made it worse. I got to deal with these knucklehead fans crying about the same nonsense. Because if we won that game last week, no one cries about the 3 interceptions. We just won 5 games in a row.
Right.
Come on, man. It's nonsense.
Yeah, and I will say, to be fair, any fan forum is like that. I'll tell you, dude, the White Sox Reddit dude was unbearable. The entitled sort of, oh, fuck this front office.
I'm actually glad you brought the White Sox.
Fire everyone. I can't believe this. And then all of a sudden you bring in Dallas Keuchel, Edwin Encarnacion, and Gio Gonzalez, and now Rick Hahn's the GM of the year. I post something about how, are you guys ready to admit that you're wrong now? Like finally admit that you're wrong because you came into this offseason with so much angst that our team sucks that you were just looking for any little thing. Oh my God, Nomar Mazara, fuck this. Nomar Mazara is a guy that really we don't know who he is yet.
Right.
He's not going to play a giant role on this team.
Right.
Like, you don't have to be that riled up about it, but that's what those fan forums are, man. They're not really good. They're not good for discourse as we're watching. It looks like, so Ohio State started the game with a opening. They were first and goal, but they only got a field goal out of it. And then Clemson just attempted a field goal and missed it. So
Jim McMichael, that's the gentleman that won the Bears Giants tickets? No. Who do they play?
Yeah, Bears Giants.
Was it Giants?
Yeah, it was
okay.
Giants, yeah.
He says, "Hi guys, thanks again for the Bears tickets. Greatest weather possible for the end of November."
That was beautiful. Oh
he
man,
said,
that's awesome.
Let's get Jameis Winston for the Bears. Look how good Mike Evans looks with Winston. Robinson could be even better with Winston over Trubisky. And then he asked if we had talked about the White Sox. I said yes, but if you want to bring him up again, you can. He said could always talk White Sox, and then he wants to know, is Jameis a better quarterback than Jay Cutler was?
Yeah, I have to say yes. Here's why I would say yes. Because Jay's problems a lot of times were self-inflicted. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times Jay, when he didn't have the team, everyone was willing to deflect blame off of him. But when he did have the team and did have the support system, he shat the bed. And granted, we did have one season where he was playing amazing football and he got hurt. That was on, I believe, he threw an interception and then tried to run after the guy who intercepted it so that he wouldn't score a touchdown, and he basically ruined the season because of that. I don't know what year it was, but I would say I would give Jameis better than Jay, just simply because Jay really never showed what he could be. Jay never showed the type of upside that made the interceptions worth it. Mm-hmm. We only saw it very sparingly. In terms of the Bears bringing in Jameis Winston, the problem with that is that you would have to pay him that $30+ million. A, the Bears don't have that money. And B, to manufacture that money, you'd have to do way too much. So, I don't see Jameis coming to a team like the Bears. I don't really even see the Bears making many offseason changes at quarterback. If you're a Bears fan, I would just be very ready for Mitch Trubisky to open the season next year as your quarterback. And whether or not you're happy about that is your prerogative. But
yeah, dude, speaking of which, I do need to rant on that. I curse the Chicago Bears with every inch of my being from this day forward. The fact that, it doesn't even make me upset that the Bears won or lost that game. That's not what's killing me.
We knew they were going to lose.
All I wanted them to do was score at least a decent game with Anthony Miller. That's all I needed. And going into that game, I just needed them to score points because the guy had Kansas City's defense, and they made the Kansas City defense look like the 85 Bears, dude.
They really did.
It pissed me off so bad. I cursed the Bears. I sorely blame them for the reason why I lost that game because Aaron Jones went off against Minnesota, and had you scored that touchdown, I would have won that game easily because a touchdown's worth 6. You add on the little bit of yardage
PPR.
And the reception. It was a PPR league. God bless. Also, all you had to do was throw the flipping ball, one out route to Anthony Miller, and then piss off to Bears fans that have the audacity to be like, well, you never should have trusted Anthony Miller in the first place. Why wouldn't have I when he was tearing it up for the last 4 games?
Guys, Ohio State just scored a long touchdown.
Come on, dude. Don't give me that. Don't sit all of a sudden and be like, I told you Mitchell Trubisky was garbage. That's not even the point, dude. It's not the point.
J.K. Dobbins, 68-yard touchdown run for Ohio State. They're up 9-0
I curse the Bears. I hope it's not going to happen. I hope you guys go 0-16 and you just trade us Khalil Mack for no reason.
We'll take the.
And no, you're not getting first-round draft picks. We're not going to put a Band-Aid on what you got.
How dare you?
Yeah, hell no.
Yeah, so to put a little bow on the whole Jameis talk, when it comes down to it, dude, I understand if you're not a fan of Jameis Winston. I really do. Like, I understand people's frustration in a guy like Jameis Winston. What I would venture to say, though, is that because of the nature of the position and how hard it is to find guys who are amazing at it, right? And to see a guy, like, trust me, Sam Darnold, like, the Jets aren't super enthusiastic about Sam Darnold. Like, don't get me wrong. Sam Darnold's a good quarterback. I think he may end up being a good player one day. But are the Jets like, we're in an amazing position next year with Sam Darnold as our guy? Not really. And we don't know much about it. Trust me, we still have some things to worry or to see about Darnold before we start to worry. But man, oh man, there's so many teams in this league right now who are happier and more content with worse quarterbacks. So I would just say understand who you have and what you have, and
Detroit,
count your blessings, man. Yeah,
Minnesota.
I mean,
what did I ask you last week? Which one was going to bite first? Kirk Cousins not winning on Monday Night Football, or that home streak? Boy, the Green Bay Packers were not playing with them fools.
You could tell they wanted that.
Dude,
they wanted that higher seeding.
Nice job showing up.
Yeah, right. And I
Jesus.
don't think you'll see much more. But yeah, so Nick, do you want to do the previews this week, my man?
Sure.
Let's do the previews this week. I know there's going to be a lot of pointless games, but also there's going to be a couple ones that might surprise us. So
facts. All right, hold on a second.
I got it.
I got you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I got you.
Cool.
All right, so the Rangers are winning. The Knicks are beating the Wiz.
Okay,
that may not sound like a lot, but these idiots let the Wizards, G League ass team, go into Madison Square Garden and beat the mess out of them last week. I was so mad at why I was like, I cannot even watch this game, and that's another thing too.
Poor Bradley Beal,
dude. Oh, he's not playing tonight.
Oh, he's not? Okay.
Nah. I hate when people come up to me and they're like, Nick, I don't know why you watch them. They're garbage. I stopped watching them years ago. You're not as much as a fan as I am.
You're not a fan, right?
I have told you 500 times that the New York Knicks are my first loves. So I show them tougher love than any of the other 3 teams because they're the ones. When the Knicks and Bulls rivalry was at its peak, I went to war against Chicago by myself. I asked for no help. Didn't get any help.
Yeah.
It was me versus the world. They will always have a special place in my heart for that. Okay? So when they lose and look like shit from a time-to-time basis, I do take offense to that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay? So don't come at me with this, I just want to root for the Knicks when they're good. That's the same thing I'm doing with Tampa. While you guys are crying, I hope they bring Jameis back. Because if we make the playoffs last year, the only person that I will celebrate when it happens is myself, because I don't trust none of y'all.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm the same way. I take it personal. Like, don't just hop off the bandwagon when you want and
then jump back on when you're ready. Yeah. No, I hate that mess. Don't do that around me.
I'm with you.
I will call your ass out in a heartbeat. I won't defriend you. I won't unfriend you, but I will question your loyalty to the team because that's BS.
And why are you even a fan of your team if you don't want to follow? Like, why even say you're a fan if you're not going to even follow? Like,
you know what I'm saying?
That's stupid to me.
Like, come on, man. Like, I mean, I cried a little bit when we didn't get the number 1 pick.
Oh man, dude, that was.
But at the end of the day, that doesn't look so bad.
I mean,
because
let's put it this way: Zion hasn't played one ass game.
And on top of that, you make mention about
Jalen Rose.
No, about New Orleans and how how incompetent they were about AD's injury.
Yeah.
Now you keep hearing all this talk about how Zion might be close to coming back. For what? Sit his ass down. You have nothing to play for this
Did you also see the joke of the league this week? They're trying to teach him how to walk and run again. They're saying that the way that he walks and runs is not conducive to, a good balance or good sort of, a bone and muscle health. So they're literally trying to teach him how to jump, walk, and run again. To me, dude, that's excessive.
Yes.
Like, that is excessive. Like, to me, if I'm the number 1 pick in the draft and I'm rehabbing from an injury and you're telling me that you think I'm the best player in that draft, and then, by the way, during rehab, you're telling me I want to teach you how to run and walk again, I'm going to take that as a sign of disrespect. That, like, you motherfuckers really think that I don't know how to walk or run? Like, I get it, right? We talked about it, I think, last week. I don't think Zion's going to be able to play at this weight. I would very much like for him to either grow an inch or two and then let his body fill out, or try and lose about 10 pounds. Mm-hmm. I think that would really help him because clearly right now they're being very cautious.
Is that a catch?
If you are, yeah, that's a catch. If you are being, you and I talked about it before as well. Why even bring him back this season?
Right.
I mean,
what's the point?
If he comes back and kills the world, great. But what if he comes back and hurts himself again?
And you know what? I'm not gonna wish that will on that kid.
No, I wouldn't either. No,
I'm not
please.
Gonna wish that will on that
I want to see him play 15
seasons. Here's what I'm saying. This is why I keep saying I'm not cut from the same cloth as everybody else.
Right.
All Knicks fans that whole time. Oh my God,
it's over.
Especially Stephen A's monkey dumb stupid ass. Oh, my God. The Knicks are cursed. I'm having a bad day. Oh, we got the 3rd overall pick. Blah, blah, blah. R.J. Barrett may not be as bad as you think. I know he's struggling. He's trying to find his shot. He's a young kid. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But at least my rookie is on the floor. Could you imagine how bad the Knicks would look if they drafted Zion and this happened? Here go the Knicks again. Same old Knicks. They're just garbage. You can't get nothing right. What do you guys want these guys to do?
Yeah, you can't. The teams like the Knicks and the Bulls and some of these teams are in a no-win situation until they get themselves out of the losing side of the column. They're not really in a situation that they can win very easily. So, when it comes to Zion, dude, do I think that his career is over because he missed 4 months or something like that? No.
Hell no.
No, dude, this guy's going to be fine. But at the end of the day, do I think New Orleans should be teaching the guy how to try and walk and run again? No, I don't think so. That's excessive to me.
All right, let's get into some of these games.
All right, let's do it.
I feel like we may or may not have to go deep into convo.
There's a couple games where
So because it's first on my list and it's 12 o'clock game, Atlanta's at Tampa Bay. The only reason why this game, I'm even going to spend any time on this game is because there's actually implications on our schedule next year.
Okay.
If the Bucks lose, then they have to go to play the Giants next year.
Okay.
And a lot of my Bucks friends, a lot of them live in New York, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
That New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area.
Okay.
So they're like, hey, we would have tailgate in the backyard. No, I want them to win so we get to 500 because if we win, then we play it's either the Niners or the Rams, or the Niners or the Seahawks. Whichever team doesn't win their division is who we play.
Wow. Either way, it's a tough.
And that game's at home. So I would rather that game be a good
test for the team, though.
Than look again another losing record because we won a game in freaking New York for some tailgate party. I'll pass.
Okay.
I'm taking the Bucs at home.
Yeah, you know what? The Bucs are at home. I'm gonna have to take them too.
Next game, the Bills are taking on the Jets. This game's in Buffalo. The Bills are 1-point favorites. Obviously, the Bills are in the playoffs.
Are they gonna? They're probably gonna sit a lot of their guys. Right?
I think so too.
Okay, yeah.
And the Jets have nothing to play for other than do we want to keep adding Gase, goof ass, who went and told that guy, the reporter, that he was a billionaire and richer than him, or whatever the quote was some time ago. Dude, Adam Gase is such a freaking head case tool. Yeah, dude. I'll take the Bills plus minus the one if you're a gambling man.
You know what? If the Bills are going to sit out their starters, I'm going to take the Jets.
The New Orleans Saints are 13-point favorites on the road against the Carolina Panthers.
Ooh.
The Panthers have pretty much sealed
they look terrible,
with it wasn't even Kyle Allen.
How did you fire what you thought was the reason why you're bad and then get worse after that?
Yes.
You know, like how did you fire what you thought was the reason why you're bad and then your team goes out and sucks even worse? Whoever Carolina is, I don't even remember who they're playing. Whoever they're playing, I'll take the Saints. Sorry,
I forgot who their quarterback was. Yeah, I'll take the Saints too.
Oh yeah, it's Will Greer.
Will Greer, yes.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, great game.
Hey, you guys don't like Jameis? Go take a look at Will Greer.
Yeah, you think we got it bad, Bucs fans?
Take a look at Carolina. They thought Kyle Allen was a franchise quarterback. Remember that?
Man, when they're talking about, the Bears fans were like, we'll take him.
Just take him.
I bet you will.
Now Carolina's like, bitch, we need this guy. If we don't have him, we don't got nothing.
Deal with your own quarterback issues.
Yeah, exactly.
The Cleveland Browns are 3-point favorites in Cincinnati.
I like Cleveland.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I like Cleveland in that one. I just don't think I really think if there's ever a team that went into the locker room and told their players, please lose this game, it's the Bengals.
Yeah.
I think
they've already locked up
the number one pick. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see. It can't get any worse or better for them.
Right. They were on the clock as soon as they lost to the Dolphins. So
That's right. Yeah. And plus the Browns, I mean, let's be honest. Am I wrong? Are the Browns still Is there a scenario where the Browns can make the playoffs? No, right?
I don't think it's them. There's a scenario where the Raiders can make
the playoffs. That's what it is. Okay. Yeah, so I'll take the Browns in that one.
And stranger things have happened with that.
That's true. I remember 2014 or 13 there was one where like 6 things had to happen in week 17 and all of them happened.
Yeah.
So
the Green Bay Packers are 12.5-point favorites over the Lions.
Oh wow. And no starters, I'm imagining, right? Because there's no.
Well, Green Bay still has something to play for. They can get the number one seed.
Can they still drop down to the 6? Is there still?
They can't.
Okay, I was going to say because
they won the North.
I saw that's right. Okay, because I saw. So now it's Seattle or San Francisco. One of those teams could still be the 6 seed, right? No, they would have to be the 5, they would be the 5 seed at the very worst.
I think so.
Yeah, okay. Because I remember seeing a meme last week that said, a meme that I think that said San Francisco, Seattle, and Green Bay, before the Green Bay and Minnesota game, there was still a possibility for all 3 teams to possibly be a 6 seed if a bunch of things happen. So
who else did you say? The Vikings?
Carolina. I'm sorry, Carolina. Packers, Seattle, and San Francisco.
Bro, there might be a chance because the Vikings are 11-5.
11-5, and then I believe
San Francisco is
because Seattle lost last week.
They did.
So Seattle should be 11-5, right?
Yeah. So it's either I think Seattle's the team that can fall down all the way to 6.
Yeah, because even if the 49ers lose, they couldn't drop down, right? What are the 49ers at? 13 or 12?
They're 12 and
so technically speaking, if Seattle wins, then
if Seattle wins, they win the division, and San Francisco will fall to 5.
5.
If San Francisco wins, they win the division, but then Seattle
drops to 6.
Could drop to 6 if the Vikings beat the Bears.
That's what I thought it was, which is pretty crazy to think about. If you think 11 wins, you think I ran away with the division, right?
Right.
there's two teams right now. One of them that has 12 wins that still hasn't locked up the division yet. That's pretty fucking crazy.
Bro, I'm telling you, man, that's why I've always said that AFC football to me is boring. That's why when we do training camps, I can't wait. That's why I do the AFC first. We just get it out of the way.
Yeah, because
God, it's boring to me, dude.
And say what you want about the parity this year, dude. The NFC had some teams that should have let's just put it this way. The Bears, even when we thought it was over earlier this season, we should have still been talking about wild card hopes in any other year.
True.
But because of the problems of having Minnesota, Green Bay, Seattle, San Francisco, and even to a certain extent, remember Dallas came out the chutes crazy,
yeah,
so everyone was pegging them right away. So yeah, the NFC is definitely more competitive right now.
They lost that game to the Jets, and it's been a roller coaster.
And then the Bears
since.
game too, man, that was ugly. Yeah.
The Chiefs are 9-point favorites against the Chargers. I'm gonna keep this one simple. I'll take the Chiefs.
And do the Chiefs don't have anything to play for at this point, right? They can't.
They've locked up the West.
Locked up the West, and then I don't think they could.
Hold on, let me take a look at the standings.
Yeah, let's just get that cleared up because I mean, if they're sitting, there's going to be a lot of guys who probably play a quarter tomorrow, and I'm imagining Kansas City is going to be one of them because like at this point, dude, why risk it? Why risk it with anyone?
So right now. Did the Patriots and Chiefs played this year, right?
They did, yeah.
And the Chiefs
won.
Did they?
Won, yeah, yep.
Okay, so then they do have something to play for.
Oh, okay.
Because the Patriots are 12-3. The Chiefs are 11-4.
So if
the Chiefs win and New England somehow loses to Miami,
they could get the 1 seed.
The Chiefs will actually jump to the 2 seed. Because Baltimore.
That's right, Baltimore. That's right. I forgot.
Are the 1 seed. I think they locked that up, and the Ravens are 13-2.
So the Ravens will be the ones that are technically going to be sitting everyone this week because they could still lose the 1 seed, but they have nothing to play for at this point because it would still be a scenario like they could lock it up, but in this case, dude, especially when it comes to like Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram got hurt last week, so I'm sure they want to make sure he's good. You want to make sure Lamar's good, but at the same time, I mean,
because at this point if you do sit everybody, that means you guys are going to get 2 weeks rest.
2 weeks of rest, and I know there's a lot of people who say, well, that's too long. You're going to get rusty, and dude, at the end of the day, man, I would rather not risk my guys.
I'd rather be rusty than hurt.
Hurt, exactly, 100%. So yeah, we'll go ahead and as far as who has more to play for, I don't think it really matters at this point. So I'll just take the Chiefs in that one.
The Bears are actually 3-point favorites against the Vikings in Minnesota.
Whoa!
That's how much the Kirk Cousins is a POS.
Well, what I would say in this one is watch out for the Bears, especially on the points, because here's the thing about the Bears. It's been a disappointing season. Matt Nagy is not exactly who we thought he was, and we're starting to see some of the holes on this team that weren't apparent last year because we were winning games. But one thing that I will say that has never left is the pride of this team.
Fact.
They want to play hard every single. Like Akeem Hicks was getting ready to play last week. He had no reason to.
Right.
They had to basically force him to not play because he's like, no, I'm not going to leave my brothers alone. And that type of mentality is dangerous for a team that's has nothing left to play for.
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that coaches go through sophomore slumps like players do?
We talked about it before the season, even during the preview, and I talked about, remember how I said when it's amazing what happens when you have 1 year of tape?
Right.
And now teams have 1 year of tape to really break you down. I think there is a sense of that. But I also would say a guy like Nagy, to me, he completely changed who he was.
Yeah.
And that's really, really troubling.
Maybe because of that reason, he's probably thinking, he freaked out. It's like, okay, they now know my game plan. I got way different.
Well,
because
I said this on the Bears Reddit. I said he sounds like a guy who's like, you know that I made the adjustment last week, so now that you know I'm going to make the adjustment, I'm not going to make the adjustment. I'm going to go back to what you didn't think I was going to do. It's like, dude, you don't have to go that deep into it, right? Like we talked about it. What did the Bears have really a lot of success with in the Cowboys game that really propelled them to win that game? Running I formation, 2 tight end sets, fullback sets, heavy sets, extra O linemen. These are things that were really helping the Bears. The next week against the Packers, you would think, damn, okay, that worked really well for us. We're going to see a lot of that. Well, instead of Nagy saying, I don't care if you know what we're going to do, we're still going to do it. Instead of him saying that, he said, well, they know we're going to do that now, so we're going to go back to these, power sweeps and these, dude, at the end of the day, I get it. It's a tough league to win in, but I don't see something where it's like, hey, I'm a sophomore now, so I'm automatically prone to get, like, trust me, I want to talk shit about guys like Sean McVay or Doug Peterson or some of these guys. But at the end of the day, dude, I have to be consistent. It's about the players too, man. It's like sometimes the players have to go out and execute. Like as bad as the play calling has been sometimes throughout the season for Nagy, when you have no offensive line, what do you expect? So, make the offensive line better. Get better. As much as it pains me to say it, Allen Robinson's probably the only guy on this team that is untouchable at this point. Everybody else, man, you can see what you can get for him. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens next year. But the Bears right now have a lot more to play for, I think, than Minnesota. Even though Minnesota has that sort of extra, that extra motivation to be able to move in the seeding. I don't necessarily. Here's the thing about Minnesota. What has been the one gripe with them and what's his face, their coach, Zimmer. It doesn't win when it matters, right?
Facts.
Now you're going to be playing when it matters. You better be preparing yourself for that, right? So I wouldn't blame him if he sits out Diggs, if he sits out Thielen, maybe even if he sits out Cousins after a half. We'll see. But at the end of the day, I think the Bears have more to play for, so I'll take the Bears. Why not?
All right. The New England Patriots are 16 points. Let me make sure I got this straight. 16-point favorites to beat the Miami Dolphins.
Oh wow. Okay.
I mean the Patriots again. They're probably gonna play their people for that number 2 seed.
Seed, right? Yeah. I would say New England. Even if they do sit their starters, I would probably still say New England.
Okay, so that's the last of the 12 o'clock slate. And then you got the Steelers taking on the Ravens. The Steelers are 2-point favorites over Baltimore. Probably because they know that the Steelers are playing for a playoff spot. Ravens already locked up the number 1 seed.
Yeah. And again, I don't care what you think about rust or momentum or anything like that. Lamar Jackson isn't putting on a helmet this Sunday. I'm making sure he's staying as far away from the sidelines as possible. No freak accidents, nothing like that. Because you have to be thinking Super Bowl now if you're Baltimore. So,
right.
We'll go ahead and take Pittsburgh there because, again, they have more to play for.
The Dallas Cowboys are 11-point favorites at home against the Washington Redskins. We discussed this scenario earlier.
Yes.
Boy, they are just
J.K. Dobbins again. If he gets this one, that's gonna be that would have been over 200 yards of rushing in the first quarter. If he did that, which looks like where he's at right now is probably close to 120.
not to go off the NFL, but see what's going on with Clemson is exactly what a lot of people have feared when it comes to Clemson.
Right.
The knock on Clemson all year was they didn't play anybody that was that good during the ACC.
Yeah.
And they damn near lost and almost should have got beat by North Carolina.
North Carolina, that's right, yeah. And quite frankly, the worst part about Clemson is they've never been tested with a high-powered, high-octane offense.
Right.
They seem to almost like when they do put tough scheduled games on their schedule, it's against tough defenses.
Yep.
They never ever have like a high-powered offense, and Ohio State's working them right now. It's about to be 17-0 if they can cash in.
They can't figure out that whole option to Dobbins, and he's just tearing up.
And Dobbins, man, that guy's got speed, dude. Yeah, I mean, he hits a corner and he's gone. He almost just had 2 70-yard touchdowns there.
Where were we? Oh, Dallas and Washington. So we talked about the scenario. In order for Dallas to make the playoffs, they have to win and Philly has to lose.
Right.
Washington is looking towards the draft. Plus, Dwayne Haskins got carted off last week, so I'm pretty sure his season's done. This is a no-brainer for me. I got Dallas.
Yeah, as bad as Dallas has been, I can't pick against them.
Yeah. No. Tennessee's at Houston. Houston locked up the South 2 weeks ago when they beat Tennessee. This game means a lot to Tennessee because if they win, they're in.
Oh, okay. So it's a win-win situation.
So Pittsburgh needs to beat Baltimore and have Tennessee lose for them to get in. Tennessee would have to win to get in.
Nick, refresh my memory. Was that Tennessee Houston game that close a couple of weeks ago? I think Houston ran away with that, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I can find out right now.
Yeah, find out for me, because I want to say that the Texans ran away from that one, and I thought it was going to be more competitive. And I always say this about the Titans, that they always trick you into thinking that they're like this good, and then once you peg them.
Yeah, it was 24-21.
Okay, 24-21
Houston.
Okay, yeah, so it wasn't as bad. I thought it was a trouncing. Yeah, what I would say is, since Tennessee has more to play for, I would take this, but I wouldn't be surprised if Houston plays it like a regular game, because they're going to be playing in the wild card weekend either way, right? Houston is. So you might as well stay hot, with that.
Let me see something real quick. Did Houston play, by any chance, didn't Houston play the Chiefs?
They did, and Houston lost.
Beat them,
yeah, Houston won. I'm sorry, yeah, Houston won. This was early in the season.
Hold on 1 second, because then there's some more implications for. What did we say Kansas City was?
Kansas City was.
Okay, so here we go. If Houston wins, and KC loses,
Houston jumps to
jumps to 3, and Kansas City will fall to 4, because both teams would be.
Oh, that's right, because Baltimore and New England would still be ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness! So that actually means that technically Houston and Kansas City should be playing for something.
Yep.
Kansas City included. I was saying they shouldn't have anything to play for, but if that's the case,
right? So
you can almost drop 3 full seeds.
Right, because Kansas City right now is sitting at 3.
Yeah.
They can jump as high as 2.
Yeah.
They can fall as far as 4, or they can stay pat at 3.
Wow. That's crazy.
So that game against the Chargers.
So that is a big one for them. And let's just put it this way: the Texans aren't going to be laying down for Tennessee. So I'm going to take the Texans in that one. I think they're going to learn a lesson or two here about staying hot. And I actually have Houston as a sleeper for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I really do, because as much shit as we talk about them, the one thing that's consistent with Houston is that somehow they find a way to score points, even in the games that they've lost this year. Remember that New Orleans game where they scored like 50 points and still lost or something like that?
They should have won that game. Where they scored a touchdown in 28 seconds,
and they were winning with with the clock ticking. So I would say one thing I would say about Houston is just watch out for them, because Deshaun, we already know he can play in clutch situations. The problem is the defense never shows up in the playoffs. So if they can get that, I think Houston might be a dark horse, because a lot of people right now, it's like basically a 2-team race in the AFC for some reason. Even Kansas City's getting overlooked a lot because Baltimore has had such a strong finish, and everyone just continues.
And let's not forget, KC beat Baltimore early in the year. So.
And what I would also say is, people right now, I think, are overrating the Patriots a little bit. People are using the fact that the Patriots have been this dynasty and this, and this as a reason why they're a contender moving in. I will say this. I'm not that scared of – if I'm the AFC, I'm not that scared of New England anymore, dude. Like, Houston just beat them a couple weeks ago, and Houston went back and lost the next week to another team that's not very good. So, to me, man, I think people are overrating teams like New England, and I wouldn't say Baltimore, because Baltimore has really lived up to that.
You're right. They beat New England. And then they went and got smoked by Denver.
By Denver. And it's like, you know what? And that game wasn't even close.
Yep.
So to me right now, man, you've got to look at New England with a different colored lenses than you did in previous seasons. It used to be, it's them, so you got to be careful. But now you never know. And yeah, Ohio State guys has taken control officially. It's 16-0, 14 minutes left, and Clemson players and fans alike look shocked here.
I'm telling you, dude, somebody's gonna say something about
Justin Fields and J.K. Dobbins, my man,
about Clemson being in there.
Yep.
Because there was actually people saying that, you can't put Clemson in there because they haven't played anybody like a team like.
Yeah, I mean.
Who missed out? It wasn't Utah. I forget whoever the 15 that Oklahoma beat over. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I can't think of who it was. Should have been in there over.
They may be challenging this one too, Nick. Let's see. He seems to grab it, but when he puts his, I don't know.
That ball moves.
It moves, and he does maintain semi-control of it. See, this is one of those really tough ones because he has control as he crosses, but essentially
Yeah,
when he
that's incomplete.
I think that might be incomplete, but it depends on whether or not they feel like he already controlled the ball as he came into the pylon, because technically the play ends once you cross the pylon. So if they feel that that's a catch right there.
But if that's
it's
a catch, you got to
short of the ground.
And I think that ball moves.
We'll
way
see.
Too much
So
on
we'll
the
see
ground.
that might not be a touchdown, guys. So we'll keep you updated.
Indianapolis is 5.5-point favorites over Jacksonville. Indy.
Give me Indy, man.
If Philly wins, they're in. They're 4-point favorites over the Giants. Why do I have a feeling it's a trap game? Is so stupid to say, but I would almost say that
the Giants,
bruh.
Yeah,
I'm kind of thinking
incomplete. Yep, incomplete pass, guys. So it's going to be looks like
fourth down,
second or third down.
It's fourth.
Oh, it's fourth down.
Yeah, that was a third down play.
Oh, okay. So Ohio State fans are not happy.
So you're gonna take off that 6, and so in fairness, that's actually two strong goal line stances by Clemson, because now
should be 21.
It should be
21, and it's about to be 13 if Ohio State can get a chip in right now.
I feel like this one of them games where I feel like Daniel Jones is coming out here and he's gonna ruin a party for Philadelphia.
The official Danny Dimes coming out party.
I really do, because I don't think as much as. I think the reason why Philadelphia beat Dallas was because Dallas had a horrible because they were awful.
Yeah, no, I can't. I have a really hard time picking anything related to Philly this year. Both offensively and defensively, they've been pretty embarrassing. I know they've had injuries to both sides of the ball, but right now they're dealing with guys like Greg Davis or some of these guys that they're fielding on the secondary and the wide receiver core are embarrassing. So. I'll just, I like where you're going with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Danny Dimes has a chance to throw a bunch here, so I'll take New York.
Yeah. I have implications in this game because there's $100 on the line.
Right. Okay.
Oakland or actually Denver are 3.5-point favorites at home against the Raiders.
Oh my goodness.
I need the Raiders to lose and Tampa to win. That's $100. Makes me richer.
Yes, sir.
So I need that.
That's a surprise. Vegas is giving them 3 points, huh? Wow.
Yeah, they're giving Denver 4 if you want to be real.
3.5, yeah.
3.5. So I mean, if you round that up, it's going to 4. Yeah.
As bad as Oakland has looked, I have a hard time choosing Denver because you don't know if Drew Lock just looked like that. Look like Drew Montana against the Texans because the Texans suck, or if Drew Lock is actually good. I guess we'll find out eventually about Drew Lock because, as far as I'm concerned, does he not step into next year as your starting quarterback, Drew Lock, if you don't make any other moves here? Joe Flacco's not coming back, I don't think, right?
No, I can't see that happening.
So, what are you going to do? They're going to draft another quarterback here? They've tried, four of the last 5 years.
Or do you see what they do with Dak? Do you mess around bringing Dak?
Maybe call Jacksonville about Nick Foles.
There's that. Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah, that's interesting. But, I have a hard time picking Denver in this one, man. I think Oakland right now probably wants it a little bit more. But yeah, I think it'll be a close game. I'll take Oakland.
The Rams are 6-point favorites at home against Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Rams.
Yeah, since they're at home, I'll go Rams.
Right.
I'll go Rams.
And then pretty much what's the game of the entire century? I'm just kidding. It's definitely the game of the night. The Sunday night game is for the NFC West. If the Seahawks are here, let's get some implications on this because there's a lot that can be happening.
Right.
And I'm letting everybody know right now that all these scenarios I'm coming with, I'm not reading anything. I'm coming all this stuff's off the top of my dome.
I was gonna say we've been doing all this based on just looking up records.
Yeah. So here's what can happen in this one.
By the way, guys, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder 2 has been set. It's Saturday, February 22nd.
Right.
So that's pretty short. That's a pretty short turnaround. I was expecting they might have made that March, but yeah, February 22nd, Wilder Fury 2.
Okay, so as of right now, the 49ers have the number 1 seed.
Right.
Green Bay has the number 2 seed.
Mm-hmm.
The Saints have the number 3 seed, and then the Eagles would have the number 4 seed. Okay. If Seattle wins,
crazy the Eagles would have the 4 seed.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
I think that's something they'll probably look into next year.
They have to.
If Seattle wins, Seattle would...
Because they won the first matchup against San Francisco, remember?
Right.
So
they would win the division.
They would win the division outright, right there, and automatic 1 seed, right? Because they
no.
Oh, because Green Bay can still catch them.
Green Bay can still catch them. Because
it's only outright if San Francisco wins, right? So if San Francisco wins, then they outright win the division and the number 1 seed.
Because San Francisco
is a game better than Seattle, right?
Because Green Bay is 12-3 right now. So if Green Bay, when Green Bay mollywops Detroit, that'll put them at 13-3.
Yep.
If Seattle wins the division, then that means
Green Bay will
be the number 1 seed.
Right.
That would put Seattle
at 2.
No. If the Saints win against Carolina, which they will,
that's right.
The Saints
will be
2.
So we could legitimately have a 12 or 13 team.
You could have 3 13-3 teams.
3 13-3 teams, and one of those will be playing Wild Card Weekend.
Right. So
that's crazy.
So if you're San Francisco,
San
Francisco needs to win this game.
because if they don't, there's too much crazy shit that can happen.
Right.
Well, and they're the only ones that technically can outright win and put it to bed, win the first seed and the division.
Bingo.
Yep.
Outright.
Right.
So then that leads to what you were talking about earlier, because I think did Minnesota play?
Minnesota plays the Bears this week.
This week, did they play? They didn't play Seattle this year, did they?
I don't think so. No.
They actually yes they did.
Oh, they did. They
did, but they lost to Seattle.
Okay.
So Seattle can't get any lower than 5th.
Good. Okay.
So we can knock that whole 6th thing out.
Oh, so the 6th thing they can't do. Okay.
They can't do. Minnesota had to win last week in order for that scenario to pop out. So Seattle can't get lower than 5th. Seattle or San Francisco can't go lower than 5th.
Okay.
Okay.
So, but technically speaking, Minnesota. Oh no, they couldn't slide down the 6th, could they?
Who?
Minnesota's
in the 6th spot. They're locked in the 6th spot.
That's right.
They cannot get out of it.
Okay.
Because if San Francisco loses, San Francisco still has a better record than Seattle. If Seattle loses, they hold the tiebreaker over Minnesota because they beat them earlier this year.
That's a lot of action that could happen, man. Yeah. So there's a lot of factors in it. So the playoff picture isn't.
So really,
it's not exactly
if you
set.
want to be real, the only team that has anything locked in all of this are the Ravens with the number 1 seed.
And technically speaking, like you said, they still have something semi to play for, but not really. But I mean, at the end of the day, again, man, if you're Baltimore, can you imagine how devastating it would be if Lamar pulled a hammy or something like that? Like that would just be too devastating.
And
it's
that's
not
why
worth
I
the
don't think and think about it like this. The beauty about all this is that your boy John Harbaugh is a former Super Bowl winning coach.
Yep, and he's got the expertise
so
to show
he
for
knows
it.
what to do and how to do it. So I think John might be thinking the way that you and I are thinking, in the sense of there's really no point in me really bringing my guy out here.
Yeah.
And there's no point in me risking having the MVP of the league potentially in Lamar Jackson getting hurt so that I look like a dumbass in the end because I played a guy in a game that was very meaningless.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't want to lose.
No.
And can I give you a nice little stat tidbit that will tie this football thing into a bow for us?
Sure.
Joe Burrow has thrown more touchdowns in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in 2019 than Matt Ryan has. That's just for you Atlanta fans out there. All right, yeah. I mean,
how garbage the Atlanta Falcons are.
Oh man,
Falcons
and
fans,
those poor things because they're not even gonna have a good pick to show for it. That's the worst part about it. Just so that they could fight for Dan Quinn's job. Now they're gonna
by the way, he kept.
And by the way, Thomas Dimitroff, too, the GM, who a lot of people were thinking for sure one of them would get fired. Both of them are coming back next year, which just goes to show Arthur Blank. We talked about it earlier in the show. He's a guy who just he realized his team went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. You know, the grass is always greener mentality doesn't always work, guys. When you think that Jameis Winston sucks so badly, everybody looks like fucking Joe Montana to you. But when you bring them into the seat and you realize that this shit ain't no game, you realize, man, we would have, maybe Jameis wasn't so bad. Or, again, Bears fans, for the first year in a long time that you've heard, maybe Jay Cutler wasn't so bad.
Right.
Maybe he didn't really get a good shake because, again, Bears fans starting to get a little bit smarter and realize that, man, just because we've never had a quarterback in our franchise before doesn't mean that we have to consistently change the bar for what we expect out of a quarterback.
Right.
The bar is so low for franchises like ours because we've never seen a Joe Montana.
Right.
We've never seen a Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers or something like that. So, yeah, dude, the big part about it is patience is key, dude. After this week is over, you're going to have a lot of turnover on your teams. A lot of guys that you probably wanted to have back that aren't going to come back. A lot of guys that you didn't want to come back that are going to come back. You just got to be ready to understand the mentality around it too, and really understand. Okay, what is my GM trying to do? What is my coach trying to do? What type of team are we trying to build? That's what you should be doing, man. As a fan, we should be getting smarter. We really should. We have more information to us than we ever have in the history of ever.
Right.
Just think about these fucking 50,000 people at Yankee Stadium in the 20s. I've been watching this baseball series by Ken Burns. It's fucking amazing. It's like 10 hours long. And it basically goes through the history of baseball from the 1800s to now. And it shows that, baseball fans, like Yankees fans in the fucking 20s and 30s, didn't really know shit about baseball.
Right.
They just went to the stadium. They knew Joe DiMaggio was amazing. Fucking, they knew the numbers. They knew the players. They knew this. They knew that. But at the end of the day, none of them really had any fucking clue who's better than who. What all you really had was the numbers to show for, okay, this guy hits for a better average, this guy hits for... But now, as a baseball fan, we have to be smarter. We know about things like advanced metrics. We know that we can watch the games now and understand how guys are better at some things than others. So as sports fans, man, I really truly...
Look at Josh Fields.
And I will say that he realized... Ohio State, by the way, guys, 13-0 up with 9 minutes left. They're in a position right now they can put this game away, dude.
Yeah.
Like they could realistically, if they score on this drive and only leave like a minute or two left for Clemson, and you go into the break. Oh, as it was a touchdown try, but unsuccessful. So second down, again, 9 minutes left here in this game. Nick, what else you got, my man?
I've got nothing.
All right. Sounds like we got a couple hours in, What I would say.
That was a fast,
It went by
what
fast.
you call it, just for the simple fact of,
We got
a
it
lot
in,
of these games we don't need to really
True,
break down that
true.
much because
Yeah.
it's the last game of the season.
And you guys should start getting ready for more interactive shows for sure because now with football, with the actual regular season coming to an end, we're gonna have a lot more space on the shows. We're not gonna be doing a lot of the the previews and stuff like that. And we'll be talking a lot more baseball, a lot more basketball, a lot more college football, a lot more UFC. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna have some heat coming to you in 2020. We're just putting it together here, guys, so be patient with us. But appreciate all the support, all the love, guys. Again, do us a huge favor. Go to mackandblack.com. Check us out on iTunes. Leave us a review on iTunes, guys. It goes a long way. It helps us out. And sharing out the show, however you're going to share it, would help us immensely. So thank you so much to everyone that has done it. And check us out on Spotify because we verified for you earlier on the show that we're on Spotify. All you have to do is talk to your stupid computer, radio, whatever, and tell her or him or it, I want to listen to Mack and Black on Spotify, and it will pop you right up. With our show, and one day we're gonna get a logo with our faces on it because our faces are the show, right? So we're gonna have to get maybe like a caricature. We'll figure it out. But either way, guys, thanks a lot for your support. Appreciate all the support in 2019. This is the last one of 2019, so we'll see you next year. Peace.